Yes, hello. I am James Rowland. Today it's the WNR 600. It's the 11th anniversary show. I cannot believe we got to this point. It is thanks to everyone who's ever spent time on the WNR. We truly appreciate it. We've got such a big show here today. But I mean, to be fair, I do write a script for this and I've just put speech to begin with because I weren't really sure what I was going to say to kind of start off the show for everybody. And obviously, 600 episodes in 11 years is quite a long time. But it's kind of funny how I split it into two, really. You know, kind of got the first 300, and the first 300, it was me there looking back at, the anniversaries and stuff that we were celebrating, Halloween specials and Christmas shows and stuff like that. And then obviously the 300 since. And of course, with, like I said, the guys that I do it with as well, it has been incredible to get here, and we just don't stop. You know, it's crazy to think it is just seems to be show after show, and then before we know it, we get to 600, and I couldn't do it without them. And like I said, luckily, I'm not alone. A pleasure to be joined by the entire WNR team. Up first, well, from the day she was born, she was trouble. She was the thorn in my side. She tried in vain, but she never caused me nothing but pain. She left home to let me die. When Jaxie says she didn't like a teddy, you knew she was a no good kid. But when she threatened your life with a switchblade knife, well, a guy makes you cry, and I did. When Jaxie says she didn't like a teddy, you knew she was a no good kid. But when she threatened your life with a switchblade knife, well, a guy makes you cry, and I did. Yes, by my side for every WWE and AEW show is a fantastic Jaxie Scarlett. How's it going, Jax?
Yeah, to be clear, I've never once threatened James with a switchblade knife, but my personality could say different. Um, Welcome on in. Happy anniversary. Hello, everyone. Ready for another full packed show of a lot of news and catch up days. So,
Mm.
welcome on in, everyone.
Oh, no, I'm glad to have you aboard, Jackson. Like I said, we've been doing this a very long time. I mean, you started, I think, 310. So again, you it's encompassed this, but like I said, it's kind of weird because we got to this point and it's like, oh
Whoa.
yeah, we're here, but it's just like I said, we've just been getting on with it.
Yep, it's funny how time flies, right?
Yeah. Well, anyway, you don't want to talk anymore. I understand. I got more people to introduce. Up next, oh, what am I going to do for a song? Yeah, I'm going to do a song. Yeah. Ready? He is M, his name is Monty, he is N, NXT expert, he is T, Toxic AEW Stanhausen, he is Y, you all listen, don't forget the Monty, Monty, Monty. Yes, it is our resident NXT expert, New Japan demigod, and of course AEW Toxic Stanhausen. It's Monty. How's it going, man? It's anniversary time.
Oh my God, I never want a song again. Uh, Thanks a lot. Uh, I'm happy to be here. Happy anniversary to the show. You're about to be raising a damn near you pretty much got a preteen on your hands with this show here. 11 years old. Before you know it, it'll be uh 18. You have to send them on to university or whatever the WNR decides to do. So time is flying on us. You're getting old. But y'all know that I'm not always the young guy reminding y'all that y'all old. But when I feel like I'm old now, so what that says about you guys in this show. But thanks for listening anyway. Everything old ain't bad. A lot of stuff is. Don't get me started on that. Anyway, excited to be here. Please don't. I used to sit there and I'd be like, Gina always gets a song. I'm kind of jealous. Now, yeah, that's gone. Never again. You don't have to do this ever again for me.
Oh god. Well, I try. The thing is, I don't think I'm going to get through this episode without a massive brain aneurysm or something like this. But we're going to try. If I think I've got enough on there, but I think I'll leave it there. And last but by no means least, it is Gina. How's it going, G?
Hey, I'm good. Thanks, James. How are you?
Yeah, all good, all good. Happy anniversary, I should say. I'm sorry, G. I've got no song for you today. You know that.
Oh, that's fine. You'd think people would have had enough of your silly love songs.
Yeah, I mean, I look around me and I see it isn't so.
Some people want to fill the world with silly love songs.
Well, what's wrong with that? I'd like to know. 'Cause here I go again. Love lifts us up
Oh my
where we
God.
belong. Where eagles fly on a mountain high.
Love makes us act like we are fools. Throw our lives away for one happy day.
We could be heroes just for one day.
You will be mean,
No, I won't.
and I'll drink all the time.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, we should be lovers, you know?
We can't do that.
Yeah, we should be lovers, and that's a fact.
Though nothing will keep us together.
We could steal time just for one day. Don't worry, Joe, I got it from here. We could be heroes forever and ever. We could be heroes forever and ever. We could be heroes. Oh my God, I'm not going to make it. Just because I will always love you. Can't help loving
Oh my
you.
gosh.
How wonderful life is now you're in the world, Gina, you know?
I'm so
Oh
sorry.
gosh, I mean, I'm surprised you did get through that.
Oh
But thank
my
you very
God.
much for that, James. That's the one and only
Oh,
time I'm ever going to be involved
oh,
with that.
that's
But
a
I
home run.
appreciate it.
Ah, G, you smashed it. You smashed it, G. We're in the moment together, you know, on top of that elephant.
Well, let's just say welcome to this 600th episode, people.
Right, yeah, no more singing. No more singing, I promise.
Gina,
That
you are
is
too
it.
nice, Gina. You're way too nice.
And trust me, that's the most polite I'll be.
Well, guys, let me know what the best song is, and I'll sing it at the end. No, I won't. But that is it. Thanks to everybody, and that's all we have time for, really. So that is the 600. No, we're going to start. What a show we have today with AEW Dynasty. Lots of news, but we're going to start with Raw and SmackDown after WrestleMania. Raw April 20th, and looking smartly dressed, Obafemi started the show after obviously the obligatory Mania recap. The crowd ubered and owed. Your ruler has arrived, and then a mic drop. I mean, Jackson, this is kind of what Obafemi, he didn't really have to do much, did he? But I mean, the fans absolutely loved him. His first appearance after vanquishing the Beast.
Yeah, I mean, you cut to the crowd and you see at least two or three people, in the camera already doing the walk. You've got it is a bit catchy, just to be able to instantly warm to someone like Obafemi. So in making his arrival, I was not complaining.
Yeah, without a doubt. The first match we had was the new world champion Rhea Ripley with Io Sky taking on the Kabuki Warriors. The Faces won. I weren't sure if we were done with this feud. Io was banged up after another suicide dive. Oscar blamed Kari. But Monty, again, it's kind of bittersweet now because obviously we're going to talk about the WWE releases. But I was like, oh, why is this match? And then afterwards it was, oh, poor Kari. You know, this was her last match in WWE.
Yeah, looking at it with hindsight, it does rain a little bit more hollow, or looks a little weird because, in my opinion, if like again, we could talk about it in more detail, but this entire feud, as much as it's about Oscar and her great work, and as much as we know Io is probably going to be the one to end up like prevailing in the end, it was all up to me. It felt like this whole entire angle was about Kyrie in the middle and like the abuse of Oscar and like Kyrie maybe overcoming it at some point. So it's kind of very, very bittersweet, like you mentioned, to kind of look at this, and this is kind of like where her role in a feud that felt like it was mostly about her. I mean, of course it had the other little parts of the feud, but the most interesting dynamic to me was the dynamic between Kyrie, Oscar, and even her relationship with Io. So it's very, very interesting now when you think about that. We're still going forward towards this match in Backlash, and now just, again, it feels like the thread that makes it more than just two great wrestlers that we know that we like fighting each other. Like the thread that made the story a little bit more interesting than just that, than the dynamic between Io and Oscar is gone now. So it's really, really weird now to me. It really takes a lot of the underlying story from that match that's coming at Backlash away to me. I'm not saying that it won't be a good match, and I won't enjoy them being able to do what they probably should have been able to do at WrestleMania. But I think without Kyrie, it does change the entire dynamic if you really think about it.
Yeah, without a doubt. CM Punk made his entrance to darkness. He looked around before doing its clobbering time. His music hit and he walked down to the ring without much energy in his step. He spoke about dealing with a lot of loss over the past 6 months, losing his MMA trainer, his dog, and a handful of W employees. He knew the crowd cheered as he gave props to the people who made the show possible. He said the fans had helped him get through these losses, and losing his title didn't sting as much as losing those friends. As he was getting ready to leave, Cody Rhodes' music hit. Punk joked about going over his promo time, but Rhodes had serious demeanor. He said he expected a different reaction from him after losing his title. Punk said he doesn't feel like a loser, which seemed to surprise Cody. Rhodes told Punk he had a W title shot waiting for him wherever he wanted it. I mean, Cody's eye did look awful. And Gina, is this setting the stage for next year's WrestleMania, or maybe a potential story we get before that?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know what to think about this in terms of when they're gonna look to pull off Cody and Punk. This could be a good lineup for next year's WrestleMania, but I'm also like, why would they wait that long? Like tease it here and then wait that long to get it underway. So I do think that it's one to keep an eye out because I feel like they might actually do that a lot sooner than WrestleMania.
Yeah, exactly. And I've really liked the way Punk reacted to losing the title, So, again, an interesting story. All Ego is Raw's newest superstar. He took on Javon. And thanks to Rusev, Page got the win with the twisted grin. And people might not know Ethan's Page twisted grin is named after what he actually did to Javon Evans in NXT. Yes, long-term storytelling, if that's easy for me to say. Rusev beat the shit out of Javon. Penta tried to make the save, but the Hills beat him down. We got Paige and Bella's in crowd. So was Powerhouse Hobb, Trick Willie. Liv was next. She got You Deserve It chance, and she thanked the Judgment Day, and she thanked Stephanie Vacquer. So Ruka showed up, making her Raw debut. Pierce made the match. Zara got involved. Daria got involved after it looked like Soul had it won, and Liv got the win with Oblivion. And I mean, Jax, what are your thoughts? I mean, because we've seen Soul Ruka before, and also we were a little bit annoyed by the time of Stephanie and Liv at Mania. We weren't sure about injuries. It looks like Liv didn't have an injury in this one.
Yeah, I mean, it was a little bit disappointing just because that was like the shtick that we know that WWE was trying to put out there that, oh, we were just trying to save both women from injury or something. But then you throw out this, and it was a great showing for Sol Ruka and a great showing for Liv. She was fine. So make it make sense. So, as much as I don't really want to hate on like Liv in this actual situation, I just think that the way that they put the women's division even up to leading up to Mania and just including like the releases and everything that's just recently been done, it's been poor. Every bit of the treatment towards the women's division has been poor.
Yeah, without a doubt. Moving on with Raw, Heyman brought out Bron Breakker for his first Raw appearance since the tricep injury. He called Seth Rollins weak and bragged about ruining his match with Gunther. Rollins showed up with steel chair, but the trio got the better of him. The Street Profits made a surprise appearance to even the odds, and Breakker hit the Vision with another huge spear until he takes up ribs to end the segment. I mean, Monty, it's good to see the Street Profits, but I mean, man, we're going to talk about tag team division, I guess. But the other thing I found, I
We
don't know if
need
it's
them.
funny or not, but Bron getting cut the hard way, and I'm just thinking to myself, is there anything they can't? The Vision is just cursed. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
Danhausen style.
Yeah. No. And it's pre Danhausen, so it feels worse, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It's just it's weird stuff just seemed to happen because when I looked at the chair shot back, and I was like, okay, I guess Self did kind of get him a little high, but it didn't look overly high. It's just like that would just like the injury on the announce table, just like that just would happen to you. It just for some reason everything like I know this again. I know this is a different conversation, but I saw somebody pose a question about like, it felt like Brian Breaker was gonna be that next big thing, but like now Obafemi is there, and I'm like, well, Brian Breaker has found a way to end up in this vision mess, and he's like gotten hurt in multiple like things have just not stayed consistent for him, whether it was his fault or not. So it's just this is a perfect example of that. But I didn't mind the segment so much. It was like you said, good to see the Street Profits. With the I saw a graphic of our current tag team champions in WWE, and it's just it's pretty bad right now. So I'll definitely take the Street Profits back. But like you said, I don't know who they're gonna be able to work with even if they do dethrone the Vision. I don't know who left to work with besides maybe the Usos at this point. So it's like, yeah, we're gonna be on. I'm eager to see what they can do, but I don't know if they should just rush and give the Street Profits the belts. Like we just saw them win the championships in their last significant run, and then like of course because Triple H don't care about tag team wrestling, that really led nowhere. So it's like I don't want them to just get bogged down either. I want them to actually be. I don't. They don't necessarily have to get involved with the Vision because I'm kind of tired of every babyface just having to deal with the Vision. He too, but I'm just saying they need to do something different with them individually or even as a team because I don't want them to just get bogged down into the same old win the titles and then nothing significant happens for you. So. I'm glad to see them back. I'm glad they remember Montez worked there, after Bianca announced her pregnancy.
Mm.
They realize he need that paycheck maybe. So we'll see. But I'm excited to see them. And as far as the tag division goes, man, it's getting scary.
Yeah, it's awful. How JD McDonough was standing after WrestleMania was very impressive. He was beaten by his former mentor, Finn Balor, who busted his nose. Annoyingly, Dom attacked Balor to somehow keep this feud going. And then the final segment of the night saw Roman Reigns come out to celebrate winning the world title. He brought the Usos out with him. He said he missed it having the trust of the Usos and doing business with them. He told them they're stronger together than they are apart. He recalled how they ran WWE for 4 years together and asked if they would be by his side again, not as underlings, but as equals. Uso seemed on board, and that's when Jacob Fatu showed up. He was not there to acknowledge the champion. He was there to challenge him, and he wanted to upgrade his life at Backlash. But Reigns questioned if he's ready to carry the title. He said he would see his little cousin next week and made his exit. Gina, I mean, what were your thoughts on this? Because, again, Usos have, I don't know if they've gone back or if we've all gone back in time now with Reigns' title reign, but Jacob Fatu has stepped up.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, when the bloodline were together and it was, the Usos and Roman and even Solo, I loved that whole storyline. It was great. It carried a lot of WWE story TV. Do I want to see it all go back again? Not really, just because I feel like, especially Jimmy and Jay, they had made a lot of growth in trying to get away from Roman, and I don't feel like they should stay away from him entirely, but I feel like they had a lot of self-growth as for themselves, and this is just kind of reverting them back and getting rid of that self-growth. So I don't know how everybody else feels about it. I always will love seeing Roman and the Usos, but I'm also worried about how repetitive this may get. But Jacob Fatu, he is just so hot right now that it is quite exciting to see this dynamic turn up. I hope it doesn't have, the same sort of tone as the Solo sort of turn or anything, but either way, I'm intrigued because of Jacob. He's very exciting to watch because you never know what you're going to get with him.
Yeah, without doubt. And again, we talk about it. It was crazy, right? A couple of little things here that I thought of. That Jey Uso was the champion this time last year. So the night after WrestleMania was like meant to be Jey Uso's crowning moment. A year later, he's kind of gone back, and Roman is now holding the title created because of him. Because let's remember the World Heavyweight Championship had to be created because Roman wasn't around to defend it, and also Drew gets screwed again. But hey, on to news. Well, quick one. Just the fans' behaviour over WrestleMania weekend. I was hearing a lot of stories and CM Punk pushing fans and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, guys, come on. What have we spoken about? Spoke about deodorant and keeping your distance. All right. They don't owe you anything. They are professionals trying to get on with a job. So when they're in a public or private place for themselves with their families, they should be left alone. Okay. Again, a lot of people go, well, it's $250 for a picture with Logan Paul, whatever it is. Yeah, if you want to pay that, that's fine. Don't accost wrestlers. I don't think any of us, we talk about the four of us as a group, have ever kind of hopefully made a wrestler feel uncomfortable or anything. Even like, I don't know, Jack's like the FTR when we saw it, they were forthcoming. Do you know what I mean? We didn't kind of,
Yeah.
apart from you running towards a Carter, is the only time that I can think of saying that we done well.
Hey, okay, look, I didn't get far, okay? So, and it was fun. And I wasn't going to, do much. I was just going to take a picture, but that didn't happen. It's fine. But no, really, we do need to just like remember that they are human beings, and I don't want to hear none of this bullshit of it's a public space. Like, if it was a normal person, do you think that two people hugging would be actually comfortable having just a random guy like taking their photo? Like, do it during the times that they have actually provided, and if you don't want to pay for it, then don't get the picture. It's as simple as stop acting like any of us have a right to other people's lives because we don't. And it's just like, you're seeing it not just even with wrestlers, but other celebrities. It's kind of like, guys, are we getting that low? Come on. We could do better than that. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's a problem. Of everybody thinking they're important. Do you know what I mean? And like you said, you wouldn't do it to like a normal person. I just don't understand it, but you know, it's saying that it's probably going to get worse before it gets better. Speaking of worse things to happen, this time of year we get WWE releases, and we've got a whole heap of them to talk about. The first batch, shall we say, was Alba Fire, Alistair Black, Alex Shelley, Andre Chase, Apollo Crews, Bo Dallas, Uncle Howdy, Carly Bright, Chris Island, Chris Sabin, Dante Chen, Dexter Loomis, Eric Rowan, Joe Gacy, Kari Sane, Luca Crucifino, Malik Blade, Nikki Cross, Santos Escobar, Serena Linton, Trill London, Tyra May Steele, Tyrick Igwe, Tyson DePoint, Selena Vega, and Zoe Stark. Monty, I'll start with you with kind of this list because, man, we've watched a lot of this talent, even come through NXT and all this lot.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks, but I don't know. This is probably I don't want. I'm not. I can't wait to hear what everybody else say. I'm not saying my sentiments are like not. I don't think I'm not affected by it because in this country, especially in this country in America, and most of these people, if they're not from America, they moved here, so they had to get a visa and et cetera, et cetera. Nobody no one needs to be unemployed right now. The way our economy is, like it's everything costs a lot. Gas is up because we doing stupid stuff in the Middle East, and we just it's a bad time to be unemployed. So I don't want anybody to think I'm just saying, oh man, it's no big deal. But I do believe that it's not that I'm numb to these releases. It's more so just about I'm the way this not only because of the state of TKO and the state of WWE, I'm relieved for some of these people because I know if they want to continue to wrestle, there's plenty of places to land on their feet and they'll be fine. And some of these people can be compensated for their talents elsewhere. And I think we in such a more healthy we're in such a healthier space in wrestling in general than we used to be that these releases just don't feel as doom and gloom to me as it felt. But as far as WWE goes and like their direction and all of that, I mean, like we've been questioning what's the end goal and who's really in control and who's making these decisions for the longest. And I think this is kind of confirmation of like a direction that they plan on going in and who they were invested in. Even if we saw these people as more and having potential to do some cool things for WWE, obviously decision makers decided that that wasn't the case. And I haven't heard I've heard different official reasons like age, budget cut. They're coming up with they're giving up with all types of different types of explanations. But at the end of the day, a bunch of people lost their job and it sucks. They just signed Alistair and Zelina. I mean, not really Zelina, but Alistair back. So it's kind of like when you see names like that, it's like, dang, you're like, okay, and you heard rumors that he had main event, like he might have been involved in this year's stuff with Randy and Cody, but they kind of nixed that and then he ended up released. Like that's crazy when you think about it. And then like the Kyrie thing, like I mentioned earlier, very involved people who are literally actively involved in storylines. And I kind of figured something was coming because if you we haven't I know we didn't talk about SmackDown yet, but just on that Raw, you saw a lot of NXT involvement, and usually when we know some people are getting called up, and a lot of people on NXT currently in the product are having their last matches, I know that usually means we're probably going to get some turnover, and that sometimes turn into roster cuts also to make space for people on the main roster. But yeah, man, it really is very very interesting when you look at some of the names on the list, like you mentioned, people that we've seen, it's people that I saw like Andre Chase. That's an NXT 2.0 legend, James. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know people may not know who he is, but he provided a lot of entertainment in some very bad times for NXT. And I'm not saying it was the greatest gimmick ever, Chase U and all of that, but I do think he made the most of his time there. And like even people like Dante Chen, who I watched give everybody a squash match. It does kind of suck to see his name on that list. But again, he wasn't really making progress for whatever reason. And like even the Tyra May Steels, who I seen her do some stuff for the LFG stuff, and then only end up on Evolve, and she didn't even get a chance to debut for real in NXT, from what I understand. So it's like it's very crazy to me, the wide range of talents, and then you got the Wide Six, who great debut, but ever since the debut, if you really be honest, they had no clue what they wanted to do with them. Even with the tag run and the good moments, I think the Y6 have tried to provide for us since then. We knew WWE has had no clue how to present them, what they wanted to be. Do they want them to wrestle? Nikki Cross literally got put in the group just to look cool and could do nothing for literally her entire run in. It didn't wrestle one televised match to my knowledge. You know what I mean? So it's like what a waste. And I love Nikki Cross. I think Nikki Cross deserve way better when you think about like how talented she really is and how much versatility she's shown just in her WWE run. But people like her and like Kaylee Ray, Alpha 5, Kaylee Ray is gonna tear it up, whether she ends up in AEW or just going back to the UK or whatever circuit Kaylee Ray or Alpha Fire ends up, she's gonna tear it up and it's gonna be she's gonna do great. So I'm trying to give both sides of it. Like I'm bummed for these people, but I feel like most of the lot of the names that we know, even like Dexter's already doing stuff with Indy Hartwell again. They already got the index stuff going, so you might see him in Impact sooner. Like, I know he used to be in Impact, so you never know. Like a lot of these people, I can see bright futures for them doing things elsewhere, and it doesn't just mean AEW. It can be in Japan. It can be all over the world. It's a great. I'm gonna leave it here. A great nod. I just saw Shane Hayes, a former guy who was in NXT, never really made the WWE, but he was I think he was Slapjack in horrible retribution. He just won Noah's World Heavyweight Championship in Japan. So you can become like a nameless person on these releases or somebody that didn't do much in WWE, but go out and make money and do big things for in your wrestling career outside of WWE. So this is not where the end of the road for some of these people. But as far as WWE goes in their direction, it is like one of those things that's always jarring. I will say that.
Mm. I think he beat Yoshiki Inamura, who was teaming with Josh Briggs, I think, last year on NXT, which is just
Right,
kind
right. He
of
be
like a
anymore.
weird multi-universe type shit. Like, what's going on sometimes? But
Right.
again, we're going to talk about releasing. I mean, Gina, this is the thing. I mean, Monty said a lot of people will, because a lot of talented people here, but some of it is like Alistair Black and the Motor City Machine Guns is the kind of case. Why sign them then if you didn't know what to do with them? Do you know what I mean?
It is a query that everyone will probably have about that, because it is a big, massive question. Why would you hire these people if you've not got an idea of where you would like to go with them creatively? Like, why would you even like enter into a contract and waste that time if you don't have an idea already of where you want this character going and what you're going to be doing with them? It doesn't make sense. I do feel for them, but I also think Monty made a really great point there, in that it might be a good sign for some of them getting released, because they were just sat in catering doing nothing, whereas they could potentially sign somewhere else and be used. So I didn't look at it like that until Monty had actually spoken about it. So it was a good like way to look at it. But yeah, it is confusing on why you would have just hired them and gone through all that process of a contract with them if you didn't have an idea of what you wanted to do.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, Jax, again, we're going to talk about more releases in a bit, but even with this one, like Luca Crucifino is at NXT. And again, I'm not saying the model for like athletes coming through or whatever it is, but he's retired now because he was like, look, if I'm not going to make it in WWE, I'm just going to, just retire. But it's someone like Zoe Stark who'd been injured for that amount of time, horrible injury she had. Apparently, got the all clear like last week or a couple of weeks ago, and now a week later
Yeah,
get released, and not even a chance
it's
to come
cruel.
back.
Exactly, it's cruel. It's just like both Zoe Starks, as well as Kyrie have, sort of sad sort of backstories to them being released like this, Kyrie mid-story that we're never going to get sort of finished. As well as Zoe Starks, not even getting a chance to come back and seeing whether or not she could take off or not with her injury. She never really got a chance. So it's really sad, but again, there's so much more opportunity out there now that I have no doubt that there'll be more opportunity for them in other companies that might actually be the better option. So I want to stay positive to a lot of those that have actually been let go from the company and just wish them the best.
Hmm. Yeah, I think that's the best thing to do. And like I said, we'll see what happens with all this talent involved. We'll crack on with SmackDown. This morning, where we'll fresh off the confrontation with Roman Reigns on Raw, hit the ring to kick off the show. He recapped the confrontation with the Usos. Jimmy and Jay each tried to dissuade Fatu from challenging Reigns, suggesting he might, challenge Cody or something like that instead. This brought out Solo Sikoa and the MFTs, who tried to win favour with Fatu. The segment included with Fatu rebuffing all of them and challenging Sikoa for a match later in the night. And then we got the Women's United States Championship match with Julia defending against Tiffany Stratton. The back and forth action down the stretch for the counters and reversals, but the prettiest moonsault ever meant Tiffany Stratton became the US champion. Monty, what were your thoughts on this? Because again, it's just I don't know. They're not using it correctly. I don't want to bash WWE, but like, god damn it, this women's US title.
Yeah, it's been horrible. It's been the opposite of what they've done with the Intercontinental title. And I hate to say it, but that's what happens when as you can see, you get somebody like Becky who's invested in trying to build something, build a legacy of that belt, and she already has the name value to make every match she have with it feel important. So they're not gonna drag their feet. But when you got a belt that doesn't have a legacy, but you're trying to use people like Julia who have not necessarily established herself, being allowed to either. Like the longest match, this is another least competitive match they allow her to have. But that, like, I think if you look at Julia's both runs, best matches and most competitive matches was ended up being the matches that she loses the belt, and then she got the other match with Rhea Ripley. That's pretty much the longest and most impactful stuff that they've given Julia since she's been on the main roster. So again, it's just like one of them situations where it's like, okay, y'all want us to believe Julia is a big deal, and yeah, we can say two-time U.S. champion, but really, what does that matter when the belt has not a real legacy, not even a real division or focus? And even with Tiffany having it now, I'm just like, okay, who the hell she fight next? Give me a hot name in the U.S. title division that's gonna make this mean something. And maybe they'll decide to magically, add something to it and do something with it. But like that's the opposite of what we saw with the Lyra, the Baileys, and all of the people we've seen, AJ Lee, everybody we've seen basically invested in the IC title hunt. It's just a completely different vibe than what they've done with the U.S. title, which is kind of crazy because you feel like they should be able to replicate that formula somehow, some way, and at least give us some storyline or at least some competitive matches consistently for that belt. So we'll see what they do with Tiffany. Maybe they'll magically decide to do something creative around that belt because they got somebody that they kind of invested in with Tiffany. I know they want us to believe they invested in Julia, but they haven't booked her like they're invested in her, in my opinion, may yet. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I don't feel no type of way about it until they show me that they're gonna actually showcase it in a meaningful way and it's gonna do something. And as far as Tiffany goes, great achievement for her. I thought this was an okay match. But Tiffany also needs something else too. Like just her being a stale babyface to me just is not her strong suit, and I don't really like that either. But we'll see. Maybe they'll do something unique with this belt. But besides Chelsea Green, the U.S. title has no legacy at this point, and it's crazy.
We got the new women's tag team champions, Paige and Brie Bella, coming to hit for a promo. Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair interrupted, and all of a sudden we got a match which ended in disqualification when JC fucking Jane showed up with Lani Reed and Fallon Henley. Fatal Influence stood tall to close out the segment and put an exclamation point on their main roster debut. I mean, Gina, JC Jane, and Toxic Attraction or Fatal Influence are your problem now as well,
Great. I'm not impressed, but yeah. I mean, I know of JC Jane. I don't watch NXT like you guys do, but I've seen a few of her matches. I don't really have an opinion.
Uh,
So yeah, I was a bit confused with this call up because I saw Soul get a call up. We've had Ethan Page called up. I think a few others have been called up as well. So I wasn't expecting this, but it did just feel like a cop out to end this tag match between, Alexa and Charlotte and Brie and Paige. So yeah, I wasn't really impressed. And to be honest, I don't think the crowd were either.
Not at all, no. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens, But again, I don't know. Cody Rhodes hit the ring to address the fans. He said he cited Sami Zayn's golden boy, and that's why he wore gold at WrestleMania. The crowd chanted for Cody, and he issued a word of warning to the locker room. He is not hard to find for those who want a shot at his title. Now, I didn't know, Jackson. I didn't know if you knew this or not. But the punt from Randy Orton hurt Randy more than Cody, it seems, because we've not seen fucking Randy, and Cody is ready for another challenge.
I'm merely thinking that Randy is just so embarrassed by all of the sort of involvement from Pat McAfee with WrestleMania. He decided just to hide away in shame.
Yeah, yeah, I don't doubt that at all. Damien Priest and R-Truth found themselves in action against MFT's Tamatonga and JC Mateo, with them picking up the victory with a Truth Detector. That is our tag team division at the moment. Trick Williams made his way to the ring to a thunderous ovation. Little Yachty announced that he's here to stay. Oh, fucking brilliant. The duo announced the end of the US Open Challenge, and then the Gingerbread Man attacked Williams and Yachty with a candy cane and then delivered a haluva kick. The new champion, Zayn, got a chorus of boos. I mean, you see, Monty, people are like, "Oh, we miss the old man. We miss Vince's booking." Here we go. This is WWE booking 101,
Yeah, I don't know. I think the real thing that we miss is what happened to that Triple H that was booking NXT back in the day. The takeover of Triple H that was booking that. I'm like, that just a figment of my imagination? Did he bait and switch us, and then when he got to the main roster turned into the old man? But yeah, no, I agree. This is definitely some textbook WWE stuff. I ain't mad at it though, because I knew it was Sammy from day one, because he did when Trick Williams entrance was happening. You see his dance. I'm like, that's Sammy. You can just see how Sammy danced, because he did the same dance and used to walk. We used to dance with the Usos. It was just like the exact same move. So yeah, I did get a chuckle out of it. I was happy. But it did. I wish this would have changed. He could have started off that way, but I wish he would have been more brutal. Like, just be like, try to hurt somebody. That would have made that even more. They could at least thwarted the goofiness of it all. But just hitting them with the candy cane once or twice or whatever was just like, okay, that was okay. That was fine. It was fun. I had a little fun with that. But yeah, as far as Lil Yachty stand, that's the one. I don't know if everybody. I'm not about to say. I was about to say as the one and the only people who may have listened to his music before, and like, I'm not saying that I want him to go back to music, because I don't really like that either. But I would prefer if he went back to rapping, because I know. And again, I know I've heard all the things. He loved the business, and Trick Williams loves him, and he really want to do this, and he's talking about he want to have a match. I'm just like, at this point. At this point, all the celebrity super fans who love the business, we just need to start a wrestling promotion for them. Can y'all just go start something up for yourself? Get
Why don't
out of
we,
our
bring back Celebrity Deathmatch? Do you know what I mean? Like, but
right,
real,
right.
like,
Real. Yeah, just go train and go hurt yourself. Take Logan Paul, take all the streamers, go out there and just do all the flippy shit you want to do for your entertainment, for the people for the however many 50 people who actually want to see these people do it. But I know I'm sick of it. So at this point, I'm just like, whatever, man. you know?
oh man. Um, Well, anyway, we'll move on with very nice, very evil Danhausen making his second in-ring appearance as he beat The Miz with a quick roll-up. We then got new women's champion Rhea Ripley hitting the ring for a promo, interrupted by Fatal Influence. This led to a match with JC Jane, which of course ended in a disqualification. Everybody jinxed the women's division have fatal influence. The Hills stood tall, and then the main event, well, Jacob had to overcome. It's not a tough challenge, but a challenge nonetheless from Solo, beating him with the big moonsault. After the match, Usos watched as the Samoan Werewolf beat every single member of the MFTs, ending with a big splash for Tongaloa through the announce table. I mean, Gina, they know how to build stables in WWE. I'm not going to lie. I mean, Jacob looked good, though, to be fair, at the expense.
Jacob looked really good, but it just made the MFTs just look weak. That's all I can say. It buried any sort of credibility they had as a stable.
Yeah, really, really bad. So yeah, that was SmackDown, and again we got news today. I should mention as well of the New Day leaving WWE, and not only that, but JC Mateo, Jeff Cobb, and I think also Tama Tonga, but I'm not sure. Again, there's different news. It's kind of a moving news story, so to speak. But Jax, again, hearing the New Day are leaving, it is a shock. But then again, we've talked about the state of the tag team division in WWE,
Yeah, I mean, right now, I think the tag division is probably at its poorest that it's been in a while. And I don't mean in terms of the tag teams we've got. We've got decent tag teams, but we are not using them creatively. We've got kind of like 50% of non-tag teams that are actually the tag champions if we're including the women's division in this sense. Um, of course, it's incredibly disappointing to hear of New Day sort of, I'm going to say leaving, because as far as I'm aware, I don't think it was like a WWE release, but more like a mutual New Day asked and they just agreed to let them go. Or maybe it was the end of their contract and New Day didn't want to resign and WWE said fair enough. I'm not too sure the way that
know?
it was released, but do you
Yeah,
know?
what I'm hearing is that, well, what I'm hearing, again, I don't know how fucking true the sources are, that it was a contract negotiation to try and go to like a TKO contract. And
Mhm.
again, contracts weren't running out per se, but the deal wasn't what they thought. And obviously, they both then agreed to part way. I'm sure New Day will have a 90-day release or
Mm,
something like that to both, because they ain't going to
yeah.
let him show up on fucking Dynamite, are they? Like.
Probably. They are probably going to have to like wait it out for a while. But I just think, even if it's not AEW, I think that they both have such a strong chance at being signed elsewhere or just doing something more that they would like to try out creatively. Maybe not be held down by so many restrictions when it comes to what WWE are kind of trying to create right now. So, I do wish them the best. I am gutted for Tonga Loa and Jeff Cobb. I think that, both of them were brought in and have been, much like the Wyatt Six, have not been utilized at all by WWE before they decided, oh yeah, we're just going to give up. So it's extremely disappointing to feel like they didn't really get a run. And to be honest, was just like solo sidekicks for so long, like they really just didn't have much prominence within the WWE. And I don't feel like it's a fault on their own, but just their booking. But I wish them the best. I hope, again, just like the other wrestlers that have been released, I hope that there are other opportunities where they could, shine. Whether or not it's AEW, Ring of Honor, TNA, New Japan, like, there's quite a lot. CMLL, even so. Let's let's just hope and look at the positive side of where else they could turn up.
Yeah, and again, it's not good. So, but I mean, Kofi has accomplished everything there is to be, in WWE.
One of the greatest of all time, easily,
I,
and he better go to the Hall of Fame.
well, this is the thing because I mentioned it. When we talk about like 15 years since his last Intercontinental Championship, we held it like 6 times or something like this. Like they said, Monty, and again, if he can go, because look, if Cope and Chris, it's not shitting over AEW, because we're going to talk about AEW in a minute. But if Cope and Christian and others can go there and have these matches with FTR and the Young Bucks, why can't the fucking New Day? Because obviously we know where the Usos are in WWE. We as even talk about
Yep.
that. with WrestleMania, Monty. You know, like fucking do it. You know, as long as they get the Hall of Fame, as long as they don't get, like you said, forgotten about in history as being the
Yeah.
greatest tag team in WWE history, in my opinion, anyway.
Right. I don't think they can be blacklisted. Like I think the legacy is like that crazy. But we've seen crazier things. Hell, you just mentioned Cope and Christian. WWE probably will still. I don't know how long they gonna continue to hold Christian. They refuse even as a. They don't even put it. They don't even just put him in as a tandem just to give Christian like that ring. Is like they don't want to do. I'm like, come on, man. Like I don't know when Christian will get it. Christian will probably be. Uh, Old and gray. Hopefully they don't psycho see it him because at this point, but again, but like that's the fear. You gotta have that fear because WWE has done a lot of greats like that who they just try to act like, oh well. But the New Day's legacy, and like I said, particularly Kofi, like Kofi, one of those guys who deserves two. Like he a 16-time tag team champion. He like 4 time, like you mentioned, Intercontinental. I think 3 or 4 time US too. Of course, the WWE Championship run and one of the greatest Mania moments of all time. It's like I don't know how you can talk about the last 20 years, the modern era. Like you got the Cenas, Punks, and all of these people who made Brian Danielson who made impact. But Kofi is right in there, in my opinion, as one of those people of the last 20 years who got one of the most impressive resumes and just was always consistent and steady for WWE. In general. So it's hard for me to believe that they can ignore that, in my opinion, one day as far as no matter what they go on to do. And then as far as Xavier Woods is still prominently at gaming conventions and doing all types of outside media under the WWE banner with his up, down, down channel and et cetera, et cetera. Like he was being an outside face for WWE. Besides all of the great things that we know he was capable of and done with the New Day and just how creative he is. So again, I've always liked Xavier. He was my favorite back in the Impact days and the Consequences Creed days. So I'm with you, James. Like I immediately was like, "Damn!" And same thing. That's the reason why I didn't even mention the Motor City Machine Guns in the initial releases because they were deciding whether to go between WWE and AEW originally, and they chose WWE. Well, if AEW would have them, which I'm sure they would, why not get like that? Look how crazy that tag division could be. Like you said, you got Christian Cole, FTR, the Young Bucks. You have the New Day. You have
The
possibly the New Day,
Rascals.
possibly yeah, exactly. The Motor City Machine
Yeah.
Gun. It's just like that can be one of the greatest tag divisions ever if they decide to do that. And
Boys,
even if
Jet Speed as well. That they would
right,
be
just
good
be like,
going
don't like, yeah,
into.
exactly. The young, you still got the Hurt Syndicate, like you got young and old legacy great tandems and teams that you could put together and force, situations with, So it's very, very interesting if they decide to go there. But like you said, even if they don't, like Kofi is one of the greatest of all time already. So no matter where he decides to go, I think he could be him and Xavier can be a huge addition to any roster, no matter what they decide to do. But I know everybody 100% right. Like I immediately start thinking about the dream matches that they have, and honestly, since the heel turn and them dropping the ball with that run, I think the writing was on the wall, man. With the New Day, like I'm very excited that they decided. Even though I'm one of those people who thought they would be like the New Day, I mean, be like the Usos and just kind of be like WWE lifers. I never really thought we would get to this point. But seeing them do it and now the possibilities that we could have, I'm very excited for them. I'm also excited for Jeff Cobb because JC Mateo ain't never worked. So go out there and go be Jeff Cobb again and just start throwing people around and all of
Yeah.
that. So I'm these suck, but I'm more excited for some of these guys because, like I said, at this point, WWE it's been hoarding talent and it's been like a purgatory for some of these people. Yes, we want when these people are signed to WWE to get these storylines and all of that, but we can't even give them we can't even let them they don't even do that for the people we know that they're invested in consistently. So yeah, man, I'm excited for some of these people to be out and free and able to just go wrestle and be used again, like mentioned earlier.
Yeah, I think that's the thing in it, G. When we talk about kind of the talents as well, I mean, apart from maybe Matt Cardona who wants to be a WWE superstar, these guys can rebuild themselves, and like I said, if they find success elsewhere, could always come back. Might not want to fucking come back. Do you know what I mean? This is the interesting thing, and I think for Kofi and words as Monty and Jaxie said, they could have just sat there, and just been happy with what they had, but they're going, no, do you know what? We've still got something left in our career. So fucking fair play to them,
Yeah, I definitely respect them a lot for that. But I think both Monty and Jax have said pretty much most that they can in that I can in relation to this. I wish them nothing but the best, but New Day definitely will always be one of the greatest tag teams ever. And I will highly respect them and support them in whatever they move on to next. Whether it's just doing their own thing or whether they do continue to wrestle, I'll be happy to see them do either. But please don't harass them or hound them.
Yeah, leave Big E alone as well. All right, he's probably devastated at this moment in time, having to do panel shows with fucking Sam Robertsburg rather than being with his boys. So. But anyway, yeah, that is WWE for now. We'll catch up with WWE for Backlash because it's ridiculous, like a 3 week fucking turnover for Backlash, and then it's going to be a whole lot of other stuff we'll catch up on. So we'll leave WWE and we're going to go to AEW because we've got Dynasty, but we have got Dynamite and Collision notes. And much like we have done with NXTs in the past, and maybe even some catch up shows, we're going to have to try and use that bit in our brains, me included, to try and remember any of this if we do indeed. So we'll start March 21st and 22nd, Collision, because of basketball, apparently. We had Carl Fletcher defeating Robbie Eagles with DDT's championship. Yeah, it shows you how old it is. Brawling Birds defeated the Sisters of Sin. The Women's World Tag Team Champions Divine Dominion defeated Alex Garcia and Vipress. Tommaso Ciampa defeated Leo Rush, and Jet Speed and Mystico defeated the Don Callis family. That was the AEW World Trios titles online. Looked like Josh Alexander had suffered an injury there, which is a damn shame and a real talent. Hope he comes back soon. Dynamite March 25th, we started with Retrievable Mints Extra Strong with Swerve versus Kenny Omega. They hit their best shots, but neither man could keep the other down for the 3 count until Kenny hit the One Winged Angel for the pin and gets a shot at MJF at Dynasty. I mean, Jaxie, Swerve and Omega have faced each other off, a couple of times now, but this is still just, again, excellent stuff.
Yeah, they both work so well with each other, you know. I think every time they meet in the ring, that you're just getting something creatively new between them. Both of them are just kind of absolute legends in what they've been making and doing in AEW as it is.
Yeah, without a doubt. I should say as well, I've switched from Triller to my AEW. At the moment, it was about £4 or 4.50, I think, for AEW Plus, and was paying about 15 or 20 quid for a pay per view. With my AEW, you should, be able to get Dynamite Collisions and pay per views for about £15 a month. My luck, the picture wasn't great to start, and there was a bit of a balls up, me kind of logging in, but it settled down. Instantly, TNA is still the best in the world, as in streaming services. I do miss the network. I suppose that's why Batman never killed Joker. Will Ospreay wants Mox at Dynasty. Mox is in action with Shafir and Garcia beating Top Flight and Zeta Steel. Speedball Mike Bailey beat Rocky Romero. MJF came out to gloat about hanging the Hangman at Revolution. Omega arrives and he's back to his best and wants the champion. And we're going to get the Devil versus the God at Dynasty. It is crazy to think the first meeting they had was on Collision. Stokely is out of his wheelchair as well. Everybody, calm down. Clark Connors and David Finlay beat Orange Cassidy and Roderick Strong. I do miss 50-50 booking. And Tekla defended the women's world title against Mina Shirakawa. Shame this wasn't the main event. Darby Allin beating Roosh was. And right afterwards, Callis family came out and attacked him. Andrade looked like he disproved of what was happening. So that's him, Takeshita and Fletcher, who are basically faces, Monty, in the Don Callis family right now. I mean, I know we're going to get on to Fletcher, but like Takesha's not happy, and now Andrade's like, I don't agree.
Yeah, I mean it's a very unique situation, and even like you said, even Andrade don't really feel. I'm not saying he's not a heel, but he doesn't really seem like he's involved with just being the AEW round of bad guys. It's kind of I'm not trying to say the luchadors and some of the and even I mean Mark Davis kind of standing out in his own too, but Mark Davis is definitely a bad guy. But but I just like sometimes because his family is so big, some of the people who are not as bigger stars kind of don't stand out as much, but the people who we know in the Don Callis family stand out outside of Okada are kind of like you said, or either baby faces or just not really completely going with Don Callis's whatever his vision seemed to be. But again, I like the dynamic of it because it does make them a little bit more interesting than just some random group of bad guys sent to kind of bother kind of be in front of all the baby faces. Although I will say that if we are talking about AEW and like even John Moxley is supposed to be a babyface, so like 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 the baby faces, like are AEW baby faces
Yeah, point
really
taken,
baby
point taken.
faces?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right about that. March 27th Collision. We've got another strong start with AEW's Bane and Cross defending the tag titles against Harley and Willow. The Heels got the win with the divine intervention. Myron Reed beat Johnny TV. Garcia and Mox beat Private Party. Ciampa beat Ace Austin. Fletcher and Davis, the old Aussie Open, beat the Rascals of Wentz and Xavier in a great match. And in the main event, Okada successfully defended his international title against Kevin Knight. Gina, I'll ask you this because with Okada, he just seems to be, I don't know, waiting for that Takeshita match or something. You know what I mean? It's just there's not a lot going on at the moment. He's champion though.
Yeah, but he's not really done much with that championship, has he? In a way, it does feel like we're kind of focusing on the Takeshita match for him, which is great because I think they've built a great feud like between them that was originally there. But yeah, I think they kind of just need to think about what else they're going to do with Okada after Takeshita, whether it's he wins or loses against him, regardless. They need to yeah, think about what direction they're going to go with him after this.
Yeah, it is really weird at this moment in time. Dynamite Canada, the fireworks went off as Tony Schiavone spoke, and then Judas hit, and Jericho arrived. He says he's home, and that was it. So, Jax, all the rumors about Jericho, he's back in AEW. I know you're happy about that.
I mean, yeah, I kind of like remembered that a lot of people were just kind of talking about him recently, and I was prompted to think, yeah, when is going to come back? So whilst it was a surprise, it also wasn't. Um, but I do think that like he expected maybe a bit of a louder reaction than what he got. He still got a reaction, but I don't think it was as loud or popping as what he expected.
We then had MJF and Kenny Omega contract signing. I was up to date at this point, so I saw the same segment on NXT the previous day. Just my luck. Kenny says he is 100%. Speedball came out to support Kenny, and the main event was made with MJF. Before that, the Demand came out to face Omega, Brody King, and Jack Perry, with Kenny pinning Ricochet. Pac attacked Osprey for their match. Lucky for us, Will recovered, but like Pat might make him pass out in a brutalizer. Osprey rolled him over for pin and the win. The Death Riders attacked Osprey, but Moxley stopped them for stomping on his neck while wrapped in a chair. And this is the funny thing about it, Monty, as well, is AEW is so stacked. It's like, oh yeah, I forgot Pac and fucking Osprey just had a match in the middle of Dynamite. Do you know what I mean? Oh
Yep.
yeah, that happened, yeah.
Right? How blessed are the AEW stands, man? You know what I mean? Like that's the type of stuff you just get for just watching weekly, you know? So yeah, I think at the end of the day, like I mean, that's the main selling point if I was a AEW promoter or whatever, is just like how, on any given week we can just put on pay-per-view worthy or stuff that can main event other places or would main event AEW with the right circumstances. So yeah, man, I think that's one of their major advantages. But this also serves story purposes. I think this is a week before what I'm thinking about is going to happen. But this was another situation where it's like, okay, and again, I'm not saying it's bad because I get it. I understand why we're doing it. But it's like every Osprey match for the rest of his AEW run now, they're gonna try to break his neck. So it's just like, oh Lord, okay, all right, I know what to expect. But after a while, it's like, okay, all right, how many times are we gonna do this? We gotta check with the doctor because Osprey might not need to be out here. I don't know how many. Why y'all letting this man wrestle if y'all not sure he's cleared? But anyway, it's like he's on a thin line of cleared, and he still wrestles every week. But anyway, yeah, this was a good match, like you mentioned. Of course, great stuff with him and Pac because Pac is one of those guys who could be a number one guy for any promotion if they really wanted to invest in him. And I don't think he gets that credit, but I've always thought that. I really love him, really love Pac. since the Neville days, of course. And but probably a little bit before that. But as far as this whole thing goes with Moxley, it was interesting to see. Okay, all right, where are we going with this? But it was a good little threat because like Moxley was being nice, but he also was like, it also you got a chair around my neck, man. So it's like, okay, you only being but so nice,
It is AEW, isn't it? You know what I mean? Like I
right?
said, we take the good with the bad. The Brawling Birds and Kim's beat the Triangle of Madness. Darby Allin warned MJF. The Don Callis family warned him. A lot of warning going on. Andrade will face Darby at Dynasty. And in the main event, MJF did beat Speedball in a fun match. Collision was April 2nd on a Thursday. It had nothing to do with Stand and Deliver. Mox beat Bowens. Hurt Business with Bobby is back. And again, I'm not having a go at AEW, but Genie, you would think if we were going to introduce the Hurt Business back, maybe, you know, do do it on a Dynamite and not on like a segment on Collision, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Not a lot of people watch Collision. So, yeah, dropping something like that. And for me, that is a big deal. I'm a big fan of the Hurt Business. So, them dropping just the fact that they've returned, it felt really, oh, you're just going to do it on a Collision. Okay. I would have thought that they would have done a better reveal for the return of the Hurt Business, to be honest. But either way, I'm still happy they're back.
Yeah, without doubt. Willow defended the TBS title against Hirokuro Shida. Champa beat Juice. Davis and Andrade beat the Rascals. In the main event, Dogs and Garcia with Claudio lost to OC, Mystico Strong, and Knight. The Dynamite Go Home April 8th. Will decided to take on the Death Riders in the car park because he's a fucking nutter. Luckily for him, though, the United Empire was there and Alex Windsor. The brawl continued ringside. And Jax, it was really weird because I just finished watching, I think, Newman winning the title. And to see him there with the belt, it was like, oh, that's weird. It's also weird that the United Empire hadn't changed clothes since the Cura Genesis, apparently. They were still in their suits from that
Oh,
main
really?
event.
Oh,
It looked that way. I mean, I'm sure they, you know.
but I'm sure they, took a moment's respite in between, but maybe in between travel, but maybe I might be wrong. Either way, it was nice. It was nice to see. I still can't get over it. I think it kind of reminded me, oh yeah, that did happen with Callum. So it's nice to kind of have a callback though and actually see Will does have fun.
Yeah, exactly. Before the main event, we had some horrible news. Carl Fletcher had to vacate the title at the TNT Championship due to injury. I just hope William Regal doesn't say anything. I mean, Monty, again, with Fletcher's. I'm not going to blame the style because I don't want to sound like one of those kind of old guys moaning about, the young uns jumping off the top rope. But he has
Yeah.
been wrestling at a breakneck speed recently, especially the last couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, it's not really about the style as much as it's about the style and the frequency of how much he wrestles. Because like he's usually either on a collision or a dynamite every week, whether he's defending the belt or just working his style. And then you have, of course, the fact that he's probably been one of the most featured AEW wrestlers over the last few years. And that's how he kind of has gotten to this status that he is, as far as like we know he's going to be one of those guys you can bet the future on. And it's tough, man, because you got it's like it's a give and a take in a sense. And I don't ever want to tell a wrestler to change their style or to not do what they need to do because I don't necessarily think he's he puts himself in a lot of danger. I just think he's a high impact. He's a very physical wrestler. So things like this can happen. Injuries are a part of the game. So it's kind of one of those things where it's like all right, maybe you want to slow down a little bit, or the thing is, as somebody who was an athlete and did a lot of things in my past as far as playing sports, that's how it kind of goes. Like if you go at a high speed and you break neck pace, if you don't slow yourself down, your body will slow you down 100%. So, I wish him the best. I think hopefully this isn't something that like continues to be like a trend. We've seen a lot of great people that we know that have bright futures kind of get derailed because of injuries and all of that. But hopefully it's just one of those minor setbacks for him, and he's young enough to be able to adjust and maybe pick his spots more. And that's the thing. That's the same thing I think with Osprey in a sense. I think when he first came to AEW, every match felt like it needed to be an Osprey special where he was putting on 5 star, 4 star, even on Dynamites. And I think as time went on, he even figured out, okay, I can still do a lot of my cool stuff, but I gotta pace myself. And he kind of was forced to figure that out. And hopefully you don't have, hopefully the Fletcher don't have to be forced to figure out that you're gonna have to kind of, pull out your best shit when it's necessary.
Yeah, without a doubt. Don Callis announced the Young Bucks versus Okada and Takeshita at Dynasty, and Takeshita versus Okada for Double or Nothing. Andrade, Mark Davis, and Takeshita beat Darby, Jack Perry, and Bandido. The Bucks made the save, and then Okada helped Takeshita. Then he started fighting each other. Queen Aminata returned for the first time in 5 months. I mean, Gina, again, it's nice to see him, but as Monty just mentioned, there is a lot of injuries. And I guess it's not just in AEW, but it seems that way right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think it just seems there's a lot of injuries everywhere at the moment. And like you said, not just with AEW. I don't know if it's just they need more training to do things more safely, or they need to be worked less. I don't know.
I don't know. Jericho's a result of diminishing returns as well. He's a face, and he's brought the list back, and he added Ricochet to the list. The crowd went tepid. They will face at Dynasty. Ciampa defeated Dorado. Christian Cage and Adam Copeland came to the ring to talk about FTR. Trent Barretta, Rocky Romero, Dax, and Cash showed up and attacked Cage and Cope. But Stokely Hathaway did the most damage, didn't he? And Jack, see, this was a line with Cage saying he banged FTR's mums. I mean, that man is unscrupulous.
Now, I've got a lot of respect for that. No, I don't know. It's weird, but I've been enjoying sort of this constant back and forth at the moment between FTR and Cope and Christian. So like, right now, just let them cook. I'm sure that we're gonna enjoy seeing what's to come going forward with this feud. So it was there's some entertainment moments for sure.
Without a doubt. And then, like I said, the main event was Hanare, Callum Newman, and Francisco Akira teaming up with Will Ospreay to take on John Moxley, Claudio Castagnoli, Daniel Garcia, and Pac. Ospreay scored the win for his team by pinning Moxley, giving him momentum heading into the singles match. Ospreay tried to keep attacking Mox, but Claudio saved him. And then the show went to overtime and ended with Kenny Omega giving an interview about the World Championship with MJF. And again, not a bad ending. But Monty, I want to get your thoughts on United Empire showing up. Again, it kind of makes sense, but they're not telling us Andrade is a part of the United Empire. And even with recent stuff on Dynamite, which we're not going to talk about, do you know what I mean? Like Osprey and the Death Riders, it's a very tricky road, I suppose, with the groups.
Yeah, it really is. I can't wait to see how it play out because I do think what's going on we are currently may affect some things if they're smart and if that's the story they're trying to tell. Hopefully, it does play a factor because he did claim Will Ospreay has just recently said this week that he wants to be he hate the fact that the New Japan guys don't like AEW and he want to be a bridge between the promotions. So that just leads me to believe that Ospreay. Uh, is going to be involved as much as he possibly can be with New Japan also. So, hopefully that does play a factor. It was definitely weird, but I thought it was cool because I had just watched Will kind of basically ask for Newman's help to do it. But like, I think we all kind of can see what's going on when it comes to the United Empire and like their direction versus maybe Osprey's direction. And they've kind of been going on different paths for a while now, so it'll be interesting to see how that all plays out. But yeah, it was definitely kind of weird. But I did love. Don't get me wrong. The match though, we ended up getting a really really fun encounter, and I thought it did at the very least. If even if I don't know how much sense it makes, I do think at the very least it did put like Newman on people's radar. It did put some the Akiras and some of these other even Hanare. Maybe some people knew of Hanare or remember a different version of Hanare, but to see him go out there and interact with Claudio, I saw people calling for like Hanare to work with Claudio in a one-on-one setting at some point. So it was cool to see that element of it. But we'll see where it goes. Anytime a New Japan talent, especially a whole faction, show up on New Japan, show up on AEW, you kind of be like, oh man, here we go. Like Will they be in New Japan next year? But at the end of the day, it's like at this point, I'm used to it. At this point, people leaving New Japan is about as normal as these releases are to me.
You're going to start
Like
calling themselves the Elite Empire, and then you know what I mean,
it
or
is what it's
United
right,
Elite or something like that. Yeah, you start
right,
worrying.
right.
That is interesting times though. Collision April 11th. The trios titles on the line as Mystico, Kevin Knight, and Speedball face the Dogs, Gabe Kid, Clark Connors, and David Finlay. Surprisingly, the Dogs got the win and are the new champions. Bailey at the pin, and the conglomeration want a shot at the Dogs. Let's just hope the hot potatoing of the championship stops soon. But Gina, again, putting stuff on Collision, I have to fucking watch is quite annoying. You know, they should really learn.
Again, yeah, this is another one. This change happened on Collision that I didn't watch because I was so behind. And then I saw the clip happen in a flashback on Dynamite and thought, wait, let me pause this and go back and watch Collision because I'm gonna have to for this. It was annoying.
I just don't understand it. Sheila and Statlander beat Ava Ray and Lucy Lawless, or something like that. Rush beat a Tiny Bowens to be number 2 in the TNT Battle Royal. Bobby Lashley returned, and with Shelton won a squash. Young Bucks beat the Clone and Henchicero. Okada defended his, I want to say, national or continental belt against Myron Reed. I can never remember which one he's got. And the Brawling Birds beat Shafir and Tekla in the main event. All right, countdown to Dynasty 0 Hour, April 12th. We're in Vancouver, Canada. Renee, Double J, and RJ with Paul White. Camille returned and attacked Willow. I mean, Jaxie, Camille's back. You know, we wondered where she was, didn't
Mm.
we?
Yeah, we did. I I don't know if I would have had her make her return like this. Like, fair enough because she really, when she was in AEW, she didn't really get much of a shot. She kind of came in as Mercedes henchwoman.
Mm,
Um, but I do think that rather than it be on 0 Hour, which without me trying to piss anyone off, like a lot of people do tend to skip and will just wait because AEW shows are long. So, a lot of people tend to skip 0 Hour. I felt like this made no impact, and it wasn't any fault of her own. But like, I just felt like it didn't go as viral as probably would have if it was say necessarily on even just a Dynamite, you know.
yeah.
Because it was on the 0 Hour, I just don't know how much impact that truly had on her return.
Yeah, I completely agree. We had a women's match to start the show: Alex Windsor versus Marina Shafir. The fight was pretty even until Shafir went after Windsor's arm to start wearing her down to the submission. They took the fight out the ring where Shafir threw her into the barricade and continued to inflict damage, but somehow Windsor prevailed and got the pin to score the win. Monty, what are your thoughts on this? Marina cannot buy a fucking win right now, you know?
Yeah, that's why I don't bet on her. That's why I don't bet on her.
Bastard.
She looks good. I love Marina's. I love her demeanor. I love that kind of hey, that was a bar. Hold
Oh,
up. I
that's
didn't
good.
know
I
I
like
used
that. Yeah, you're on fire.
yeah, I love Marina. I love her demeanor. Okay. I see Roger Strong. I need to write that down. Use that one. Use that line. Anyway, the match itself was solid, though I will say that, it wasn't long. I know it's a 0 round match, so maybe I'm asking for a lot. It was a strong women's match, but when a 5+ hour wrestling on Dynasty. So again, I'm not trying to tell them that they need to give me too much longer stuff, but yeah, it wasn't the longest thing. But I do think it was okay, and I do think, Windsor got that warm reception and like I thought it was a little bit of stuff, the crowd seemed to be at least seemed to care about it. Shafir was in control with the submissions and stuff like that. But again, with that power bomb and just kind of how Windsor kind of like powered out of everything, I thought it was a solid enough match. But yeah, if you was looking for Marina to get a victory, I know you was probably disappointed. But yeah, Windsor, I kind of figured they would give her the win, just based off like her presentation alongside having a partner challenging for the belt. So I was just like, all right, let's see what Windsor does. But this is solid. I didn't think there was nothing wrong with it.
No, not at all. Yeah, I mean, Gina again, she feels protected because she's got the cool factor. But again, I mean, the reason I went for her was because she keeps fucking losing. Like, Makes sense.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't really bet on Marina myself, but this time around, I was like, no, Marina can't take another L. Like
Yeah.
all she does is take the L's. So I had to try and go with her, and she still fucked it. I mean, you even just mentioned, James, that like she's still cool or protected because she got the cool factor. I don't think so, because ever since I've seen Marina on TV, since she's taken this L to Alex Windsor, and again, no shade to Alex Windsor, but ever since Marina's taken this L, every time I see Marina with the Death Riders, I'm like, come out of that group, Marina, because you a loser. You don't fit in with that group. You really don't. Even like some like the Death Riders will pick up wins in their own rights, but Marina just can't get one. Is actually shocking. It really is.
Yeah, it really is. I can feel your pain there. Jax, anything to add? And you start us off out of 5 with the scores.
2.5 because Marina's a fucking letdown. That's all I have to say. Like literally, she talks shit. She talks shit and she gets banged every time. I'm done with her.
Fair enough. Monty, yours?
I give it 3.25.
Gina?
3.
I'm going to give it a 3. Predictions for the WNR Prediction League 2026. This is after Stand and Deliver, but I think before WrestleMania. So we'll forget about the WWE League and we'll go to AEW, which means that I can't say it. Jaxie and I, that's a better way of saying it, we're on Big Fat 0. Monty, Gina on 1 for the AEW League right now. Monty went Windsor. Rest went Shafir, so it is Monty 1-0
Oh,
up
damn.
at this. Yes, yeah. You took everybody out in one fell swoop there, Monty. Um, Camille squashed Big Ann. Willow came out and was taken out by Camille. We can't rate this. Come on, guys. National Championship, Jack Perry versus Mark Davis. This was a classic David versus Goliath matchup, but Perry got enough offense not to feel like a complete underdog. Davis definitely got the upper hand more often, but it wasn't a one-sided fight. Jungle Jack was able to get the win with a Hurricane Runner in a pinning combination that caught Davis off guard. Gina, this match was exactly where it should have been. And that's not shade, you know?
No, it's not shade. I mean, the match wasn't highly built up on, so I wouldn't exactly say like it needed to be on the main match card. And I think it was good because it still feels fresh with Jack Perry coming in, and I do feel like he doesn't hurt from being on that 0 hour. If anything, him being on that 0 hour might end up getting people to tune into the 0 hour a bit more, you know? So I don't think it hurt them. Again, I don't think it even hurt Mark Davis. I don't think anyone really expected him to pick up a win unless it was through like cheating tactics against Jack Perry. But it was a good match between them both. I think, like you said, it was exactly where it should have been.
Yeah, without a doubt. Yeah, fun match between two. And Jaxie, again, speaking about Jack Perry, he's doing what he's doing, just under the radar at the moment. Do you know what I mean? Getting back into action and we're forgetting everything that ever happened with Real Glass.
Exactly. Just trying to actually forget maybe sort of this little incidents that may have taken place and just kind of getting back to remembering what good he did in the ring and what he does do in the ring. So this was good overall and just a bit of fun. Still enjoyed that.
Yeah. Monte, I mean, anything to add and start us off with the scores?
Uh, let's see. You talking about the period, right? Yeah, this is solid. Solid stuff. I think I'll give it, and I love Mark. I like Mark Davis is really, really good. I give it 3.5. I didn't think it was offensive. I thought it was a pretty good match. It was quick, and it did what it needed to do. I think everybody got pumped up. It's about as good as you can do a less than 10-minute title match, I guess. You know.
Yeah, without a doubt. Gina, what would you give it?
Yeah, I think a 3.5 is good.
Jax?
3.25.
I'm going to give it 3 3/4. Predictions, we went Jackson, Monty's on 2, the rest are on 1. We got the AW Women's Tag Championship next as Divine Dominion versus Hyan and Maya Weld. And Hyan and Maya put up a fantastic fight, but the champions were too much to overcome. Cross and Bane got the victory to end the 0 hour pre show. Jaxie, I mean, what are your thoughts on this? And I should say 3 out of the 4 matches on 0 Hour were women's, even maybe they weren't the longest, you know?
Yeah, but like I think also these matches were not as like sort of long-winded and putting together, so it didn't feel like these ones needed to be on the main card, especially seeing how stacked the rest of the main event was, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it weren't a bad match, though. Not a lot of women tag teams, but matching outfits, which I always like. Monty, anything to add?
Yeah, I think that's one of my criticisms for the not really the 0 hour because like again, I'm like you. I'm happy that we got this much involvement and you get this many women on the card. But like what am I supposed? How invested am I supposed to be in this tag team title match when the challengers basically, if I remember it right, got like a vignette on Collision, and then we was like, hey, they get a tag team title match, yeah. And it's just like, oh. Okay, and then it went on to be competitive, a little bit, but not really. Really, still was like a showcase for Megan Bain and Lena Cross. To be fair, so it's like, okay, well, I don't know really what to do with this match overall, but like you said, I'm happy that we got this many women involved. But when you think about, it, we only got one women's match on the main card, and that actually got time and all that, and then we got kind of like the rest of them bunched up right here and not really having much story to them. It's like, oh, okay, well, all right. I guess I give you points for their involvement. Do you want a participation trophy, guys? I don't think the women want a participation trophy. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's kind of how I feel about it.
Yeah, I don't. Gino, anything to add? And do you want to start us with your score?
No, not really much to add. And I'll give it 3 3/4.
3 3/4, Jaxie.
I'll give this a 3.5.
And Monty.
I give it a 3.
I'm going to give it 3 3/4 predictions. You all went Divine, so Monty's on 3. The rest are on 2 as we start the main show, which was the Young Bucks versus Takeshita and Okada. The IWGP TV champion began with Nick. Takeshita easily overpowered him and hit a few moves for making a tag to Okada for a double team sequence. They shook hands and seemed to be willing to work together for the sake of the match. So I'm sure nothing will happen. Not only was the action good, but several moments in this match was very funny. The crowd were clearly having a blast. When Okada and Takeshita began fighting each other, the arena went nuts. The Young Bucks scored the win after Takeshita chose not to save Okada from the finisher, and this got the main card off to a very strong start, Monty.
Yeah, this was great. Very, very good stuff. The Young Bucks is back on the run. I guess this kind of proves it. I never really thought about it because I liked them as heels back in the New Japan Bullet Club days. But this kind of proved to me that they might just be right at home being, baby faces and like they just have a very good chemistry with going against heel teams. I mean, I know everybody, we respect everybody that's involved. I know Okada loved the Bucks. They've always been close. So it's cool to see him kind of be in a marquee kind of match involving them just for all of my New Japan pros who remember when they all kind of was together. And Okada was such a towering figure in New Japan that he never really interacted with the Young Bucks in any meaningful way other than them kind of interfering in his matches with Kenny, et cetera, and stuff like that. But other than that, they never really had to really involve themselves other than like the occasional tag. So to see in like a match like this was kind of cool, especially when you involve somebody as talented to catch them and you got the dynamics of their relationship. I thought it was very fun. And it did get a little comedy into it too, which is kind of like, okay, I'm surprised. All right. I wouldn't expect, but at the same time, with the dynamics of Okada Takeshita, I kind of understand why it got goofy a little bit, but I don't hate it at all. I thought this was just very fun. And I think when you think about the fact that it was the first match, it's like, all right, how much better can you start a show, like you mentioned, James, than with this type of stuff? And I thought Takeshita just backing away and letting the Belter drive happen was a perfect way to end it. Because like, I know Jackson might not admit this. I love Okada too, but he deserved it.
Um, well, like I said, we talk about it. Double or nothing can't come quick enough, you know. But Gino, are the Bucks in a bit of a weird place right now, or are they okay? Because we got rid of the EVP, Obviously, they're not tag team champions, but they kind of have to be on the pay per view and putting on bangers. I mean, do we mind it?
I mean, no, not really. I think the Young Bucks are cool, just chilling at the moment because they have been at the top for a long time, and been the talk of every storyline that they've been a part of. And I think this is fine for them right now. They're just like coasting and chilling, a bit like Jack Perry. I don't feel like they're like overpowering us with too much. They're just, they're having putting on a banger of a match, but not overpowering enough that it's all about them again, and we feel like it's gone back to EVP ways or something like that. So I don't mind it, to be honest.
Yeah, right down. And Jack Seals should say with Ricardo, he did get the biggest reaction in this match, but maybe surprised me a little bit considering his booking. But he also dressed up as Young Buck. But as Monty said, he deserves to get punched in the face by Takeshita.
He was itching for it from the beginning of the match, So this needed to happen in order just to get things going between them. But it was highly entertaining, as Monty said, and I think that this worked perfectly. If I was Takeshita, I too would walk out. I'd be like, well, "Fuck this! Why am I working with this guy? I'm so sick to death of this. I just want to take him out myself." So
Mm.
you know,
It
I would have done exactly the same as him. So
well, we
I'm ready to see these two like just
well we yeah.
take it out.
But I say we've done 300 shows together, and get that feeling from you every time we do one.
Likewise.
So out of 5, then Monty, what would you give it?
I give it a 4.5. Really good.
Gina,
Yeah, I'll go 4.5 as well.
Jax.
4.5 from me too.
Yeah, I'm going to give it 4.5. Predictions, we all went Bucks. So Monty's on 4, the rest are on 3. And almost exactly a year after his last match, Chris Jericho stepped back in the ring for the first time to take on Ricochet, who had Bishop Khan and Tora Leona in his corner. The fans began chanting bald at Ricochet as they got started. He complained to Aubrey Edwards about Jericho slapping his head, but she didn't care in the slightest. After Jericho had some fun, Ricochet took control. He used his cronies to interfere, and while he distracted Aubrey to get an unfair advantage, but the former AEW World Champion found ways to battle back. The man who used to be known as the Learning Tree managed to kick out of his shooting star press, but Ricochet was able to get the free count with Jericho's own line soul. Now, Gina, this was a pleasant surprise, result-wise.
Yeah, I mean, for my predictions, I was pissed off. But in terms of like the actual win itself, I think that it was probably a good call and a good decision. Because we all kind of went with the, oh, okay, it's his first match back. He's obviously going to get the win, that sort of thing. So they kind of tricked you there, thinking that same thing was going to happen here when it didn't.
Yeah, and he's just Jericho now. He's dropped the Chris for some reason. But as we,
I
I
was
mean,
gonna
Jackson.
say, is that like a cool thing, or is that like Adam Copeland now changing his name to Cope, and he's trying to stay cool and relevant?
Yeah, I think it's that. Yeah. But Jackson, as Gina mentioned as well with Ricochet, this is arguably Ricochet's biggest win in AEW. Over someone like Chris Jericho.
For real, I think this will not only this will, if anything, just continue to elevate what Ricochet is trying to create within AEW. This certainly does help. A lot of like his small little accomplishments so far are really just kind of helping to build more characters. So I was disappointed because this was sort of like Chris Jericho's comeback match, and I was disappointed from my predictions point of view. But I can't say that I wasn't disappointed in Ricochet picking up the win here. I think like he's been doing a lot for AEW, and this is actually a good accomplishment that he can actually have to continue solidifying his career. So this was
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, and I mean Monty Jericho's been away for a year, and I haven't missed him, But to be fair, putting Jericho over was the right idea. The shooting star into the code breaker was cool, but again, Jericho, I won't say step behind, but you're not going to be able to keep up with Ricochet now, are you?
Yeah, like I do think he did a good job. Like I'm not I'm with you, John, that I didn't necessarily think AEW was in the stage where they still need him, but I do think I love what he's trying to do. Like he seems like he sounds very self aware. Like even acknowledging like the bad matches he had before he kind of went away, was kind of I thought okay, all right. He seems like I know he is also because he brought the list back, so I do think it is a little bit all right. I'm searching. He's searching. But I don't mind it if he's coming back to kind of like you said, elevate people like Ricochet, elevate other stars, if they utilize him that way, and it doesn't just feel like we gotta allocate parts of dynamites and collisions for like 20 minutes of just Jericho segments that like what it had felt like instead, and it felt like we wasn't furthering anyone then that's when we kind of back in trouble. But if they're gonna be doing it like this and having, I thought the pace was slower to benefit Jericho, but again, I don't think it was I don't think they did anything that looked like it was obvious that Jericho was bad, or anything to me. Like he's older and I think that's the kind of pace that he's probably gonna have to be, like you mentioned, especially when you think about how Ricochet wrestles. But I did think overall, because not only because of the result, but also because it ended up being solid. I was kind of questioning them adding this match because I was like, do we really need to force a Jericho match on here? But I ended up, like you said, pleasantly surprised and like, okay, this is fine. I'll take it. Do I need 20 minutes of a Jericho match? Probably at this stage, probably not. But the result kind of saved that it may have went a little too long.
Yeah, without a doubt. So out of five, then Gina, what would you give it?
Yeah, it was a good match from Ricochet, so I definitely think it still deserves its points. So I'll go with a 3 and 3/4.
Three and three quarters, Jacks.
3.5 for me.
Monty.
3 and 3/4.
And I'm going to give it a four. Predictions. Who went Jericho? So Monty's on four, the rest on three. And in order to earn a world title opportunity, Darby Allin had to go through Andrade El Idolo thanks to a deal between MJF and Don Callis. El Idolo was only in a situation due to a financial deal, but he looked laser focused on Darby as the match got underway. Darby started to build up a head of steam. He started throwing caution to the wind. When doesn't he, he hit some highly dangerous moves that probably did just as much damage to him as he did his opponent. Both men took some big bumps, but the thing the crowd popped loudest for was El Idolo taking off his trousers to reveal his trunks, his boots, and yes, that. These two took each other to the absolute limit, but Allen was able to wrap up Andrade's legs into a pinning combination for the win. Andrade showed Darby respect afterwards. And with that, Jax was a fantastic match between Darby and Andrade.
This was a brilliant match between the two of them, and I'm glad they got the time because, apart from all of the standard, Andrade shenanigans of taking photos with fans and, taking off his trousers. Like the wrestling was really good. I felt like either opponent could have come out of this the winner, to be honest. And it still would have been that great a match. They worked really well together. And it's nice to see Andrade like utilized for like what talent he does have in the ring. Sometimes you kind of forget because, like his lack of being used in either. So at the moment, right now, this match, it was good.
Yeah, I mean, Andrade is on a different level right now, and Monty, the crowd want to love him. I just want him and Takeshita to kind of team up to take on like the Don Callis family, if you know what I mean. Even though maybe the story's not about that right now.
Yeah, I don't know. I think at this point Andrade is on the type of run where you can pretty much put him anywhere.
Mm.
Uh, you can put him in. You can put him involved. You can involve him, like you said, with doing that, or you can just let him go on a run where he takes one of these belts. I know it's many belts in AEW, and he just kind of just we know every pay per view we're gonna get a pretty good match out of him, or you can elevate him to the top of the card. Like he's really on that type of run. I thought this was impeccable from both guys. Like Darby looked great to me. Even with the horrifying, like when he drop kick Andrade on the steps, I was like, wow, that was that. There was a couple moments in there where I even had to make note of that one. But I thought this was really good. Like I thought at the end of the day, you'd be like, when you get Andrade at high energy and you put him together with Darby, who's willing to go out there and kill himself, but not just kill himself. Like sometimes Darby just goes out there and kills himself. But like, every match to a degree Darby is probably gonna do it. I thought this one was a well wrestled match, and the pace was great. The pace was just insanely good. I thought it flew by, and it was a really fun match. And although I know Andrade was probably like a higher gun to kind of get Darby out of the way for MJF, I thought it still the story didn't even really matter because I think both guys are really at the top of their game right now.
Yeah, I mean Darby's been featured, but not on the main event scene at this moment in time. But Gina, what I really
Yeah.
liked about this match, Gina, was that he proved he can wrestle not just in death matches. This was no hardcore, but it was just straight up wrestling him and Andrade.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think Monty said it perfectly just now, but yeah, I think this match, it didn't feel like the standard, I'm gonna just, throw my life on the line and kill myself type of match, but it didn't need to be, and it still was a great match. So it just shows that he can do those types of matches that are less death defying.
Yeah, and also have to mention Andrade's penis. I just have to put it out there. It
Oh,
wouldn't be doing my job.
I'm so glad someone else said it because I have to say that was there.
Oh, it was. Oh, easy, big fella. Yeah. What were we talking about? Yeah, right. Okay. Anyway, out of 5 then for the matchup, Jaxie, what would you give it?
I'll give this a 4.
A 4. Monty.
Keep it in your pants, guys. Yeah, I give it a 4.25.
Gina.
Yeah, I'll go 4.25.
I gave us a 4.95. You know why, but the rating is so high in this matchup. Come on, guys. Predictions still went Derby. So Monty's on 5. The rest are on 4. Up next, the AW Tag Team Championships, FTR versus Cage and Cope. Wheeler offered Copeland his hand to start the match, but Cope smacked it away and started punching him. This brought in Cage and Harbour to trade shots too. My only real complaint is they relied too much on using all 4 guys at once, and the referee made no effort to control the chaos. Just make it a fucking tornado match or something like this, or a hardcore stipulation. Then again, Darby and Andrade did go in the crowd, didn't they? Copeland was busted open with a title belt and immediately started bleeding profusely. Cage was taken out by being thrown into the timekeeper's area, leaving Cope in a 2-on-1 situation. The challengers put up a good fight, but FTR retained with a shat machine in the end. And again, I mean, Monty, I don't know what you thought of this, but I was surprised by the result, especially it being in Canada.
Yeah, for sure. I think this is a great. I'm not. I don't know how I feel about it because it definitely subverted my expectations. Because of that, and maybe that's just like our old pro wrestling, like historic. Like we know how things go. Bookers love to give the hometown crowd something, but Tony was like, "Fuck Canada" for some reason with Jericho and this result. So Tony was like, "Yeah, I don't care about that." So they both, having both of those Canadians, maybe the last one had a chance in the main event still, but I was like, "Wow!" But again, I thought this was a pretty fine match overall. Maybe, it's kind of crazy to me because I think as good as it was and as wild as it was, it really went for something that wasn't like a hardcore. It did go a little bit over what you would expect in a regular tag match, but I really did think Cope and Cage was gonna win, man. So it's one of those situations where you can either be mad and be like, you know what, I don't know if this match is as good as I thought it was because the wrong people won, or you can look at it and be like, all right, touche, y'all. I did not expect them to did not expect FTR to retain, but it wasn't really like a typical AEW. I think it seemed like because of its Cope and Cage involved. I'm not saying this was a WWE style match, but it just had a lot more emotion and a lot more story to it to me than your average athletic spectacle that is an AEW match. But either way it go, I thought this was really good, and the crowd really was hoping for the hometown win. So the fact that Tony, I kind of, to me, the heel in me is like, you know what, that's cool. Fuck the Canadians.
There we go. I love the Canadians. I have for 600 episodes, guys. All right. This was Cope and Christian's first match since All Out. But Gina, you could argue this was the first time Cope has put someone over since his return, apart from Roman Reigns.
Ouch. Yeah, I mean, that's very true actually, because he's not really one to be putting others over. It's usually him that's being put over in every appearance that we've seen of him on AEW. So yeah, I will say this match did shock me. I felt similar to how I felt about the Ricochet and Jericho match. I'm only annoyed because of prediction wise standpoint, but I'm actually kind of happy that FTR got the win.
Mm. Yeah, without a doubt, Cope is growing his hair as well, and it's weird. I mentioned this earlier with like the jinx on the not vision, but Jaxie, it is weird how some things happen when you get older. I mean, it's not Cope's fault, but obviously a lot of injuries, and even that title belt busted him fucking wide open. Do you know what I mean? It's just like he's not getting any luck at right now.
Yeah, I mean, we had to imagine like, there was going to be some sort of struggles, but I don't think that they could have imagined that he was going to be cut open like that bad. So it is what it is, but it seems like this was what was needed for like the driving factor and momentum. Like I feel like this isn't the end for Cope and Cage. And I feel like what they're doing at the moment is probably some of their best work within AEW with FTR at the moment. So we can only hope that this kind of continues to this anticipation like continues to build to what could be like, like a brilliant next title match, which I'm sure that we will be getting.
Yeah,
So
and this is the thing. Yeah, I agree with you. But again, apart from this setting here, I don't know where they could get a bigger pop. If you know what I mean, to win the title, it just didn't. For me, I was
no,
like, oh, he
exactly. I
didn't switch
think
it.
Yeah, I mean, I thought they were going to do it there, but maybe it's because we thought, that's the perfect place to have done it, that they didn't do it.
If Tony's got some new shit, and
Yeah.
he's trying for
He's like, you're
dynasty.
not ready yet. Give it a month.
Right, so scores then, Monty. What would you give this one?
I had fun with it, man. I gave it a 4 and a quarter.
Four and a quarter. Gina.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would have been a little bit better if, like you said, it was like a hardcore match or a tornado tag match, because when it's meant to just be a normal match, but it's chaotic like this, you're just like, well, how is that this being allowed? But other things get called out in for DQs. So yeah, I mean, I think it still was a good match, so I'll give it a 4.
Four. Jax.
Yeah, it's a 4 from me too.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 4.5. Predictions, we all went Cope and Christian, so we're all wrong, all right? Monty's on 5, the rest are on 4. TNT Championship Casino Gauntlet next. Tommaso Ciampa and Ulush were the first two competitors in the ring. Bandido got a great pop at number 3. Speedball was number 4. The Clone at 5. Pack with Pants at 6. No knee pads, which looked weird as well. 7th was another Death Rider in Daniel Garcia. 8th was Anthony Bowens, who's had a few things to say about AEW. He lost on Collision, but is still in the matchup. Kevin Knight was 9th, and number 10 was another Death Rider, Wheeler Yuta. Knight claimed a victory to earn his first singles title in AEW by getting the victory here. And I mean, Gina, I'll ask you about this, but man, I came so close to my prediction. I know it's not about me, but I came so close. What were your thoughts on the Battle Royal, Gina?
I'm so glad that your prediction didn't come right. I'm so glad none of us got this one, but I'm actually really pleased for him. I think that was it was a great gauntlet, and I think he deserved it. I was a little bit confused on why they even bothered give them back the trios belts to have them lose it again, but I know that like things like injuries got in the way here, so that's why maybe it doesn't seem. Yeah, in some ways you could think, oh, they had them drop those belts, but we're gonna just let Kevin Knight get this belt instead. As like comeuppance. I don't know. Either way, it still worked for me. I think he deserved it, and the gauntlet match was enjoyable to watch as well. I think everybody involved deserved that spot to be on this show, and it was nice.
Yeah. And again, I mean, Jaxie, Tony's got to learn though. Like this could have been on the pre-show, and then when it got down to like the singles match or the pin or whatever it was, then you start the pay-per-view. He's done that before with other matches, and then we could have
Yeah.
saved some of the 0 hour, you know?
Yeah, this could have easily been that, and then have Kevin Knight just sort of win this, like to open the show, and I think that would have even been more feel good. So I feel like the placement could have been better for this, but again, I didn't really have much more to add. I think that overall this was a good choice. It's nice to actually see both members of Jet Speed get singles pushes at different points, and they seem to be over with the crowd. So I'm intrigued to see what's going to be in store for Kevin Knight and this run.
Yeah, I mean the finish was cool, poor Pac, you know. But again, my thoughts were if they dropped the trios, then one of them would get it. I picked Bailey because we were in Canada, you know, and thought maybe Knight would turn and win if he joins the Hurt Syndicate. But Monty, as you mentioned earlier, Tony was like, "Fuck Canada."
Right. I'm just using the venue. I could care less if you're from there. But yeah, this was again. I didn't have a problem with it. I do think we have probably like one too many of these damn battle royals at this point. Like whenever Tony's like, "Hey, we got Jet Speed, I got Champa. How can I get these guys on the pay-per-view because they're not involved in something directly? Let's just do a vacant battle royal." And and then I get it. I understand the Fletcher thing may have made this the idea. I just love that he's like, hey, let me continue to flex how much talent I have by forcing these guys on the shows. But again, I thought it was fine. I probably haven't really been invested in one of these complete. I didn't think. I remember when I saw the very first Casino Battle Royal, and I remember thinking it was so unique and like, wow. But they've done so many of them now to where I'm like, now I see why the Royal Rumble happens once a year because I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. I'm just saying the meaning of this stipulation is kind of watered down to me. But for Kevin Knight, this was excellent, and I'm really really happy. I'm mad at myself because I did initially want to go with Kevin Knight, but I went with Roosh just because I was like, why not? Let's keep it on a heel. But they went the opposite there and went with Knight, and I'm not mad at that because again, I think making him a champion is only going to build up his stock because as much as I love Kyle Fletcher, but Kevin Knight is another one of those names that I can see holding this brand up in the future. Of course, if all things continue to work out, because I think Kevin Knight is definitely. I thought he could have been a star for New Japan, so I'm definitely happy that he might seem to be a great star for AEW because Kevin Knight has been one of those guys who always seemed like he could be right on that precipice, and I feel like AEW is going to invest in him. So I'm happy for him in that regard. But as far as the battle royal go, I thought this was fine.
Yeah, without a doubt. Scores then, Gina, what would you give it?
Yeah, I would give it a 4.
Jax?
I'll give that 3 3/4.
And Monty?
Yeah, I'll give it 3 3/4 also.
Very cool. Even trying to do a Dynasty, trying to do an AEW pay per view quickly, you know, like I said, fucking 3 weeks of Dynamite's collision beforehand, it still drags. So there's nothing to do with you guys. There's nothing to do with fucking me. But I just looked down. I was like, Jesus Christ, there's still a few matches left. But I gave this 4 predictions. I went Speedball, Monty went Rush, Gina and Jax went Champa. So Monty's on 5. The rest are on 4. After grabbing a quick pint backstage with Windsor, Jamie Hayter made her way to the ring to challenge Tekla for the women's world title. The challenger nailed a running boot to the face right out the gate to get the match started. Tekla quickly recovered and looked in a submission until she got a leg on the rope to force a break. I mean, like we talk about, Hayter is one of the best AEW has to offer, and Tekla is quickly developing the same reputation. She was able to retain the title by using the ropes for leverage during a pinning combination. Windsor then ran to the ring and tried to tell the ref that Tekla cheated. The ref said the decision was final. The Tekla celebrated with Julie Hart and Sky Blue in the aisle. The feud clearly isn't over. Jaxie, what were your thoughts on the only women's match on the pay-per-view?
Yeah, I really liked this match. I thought it went well. I think that Saka and Jamie Hayter's like fighting styles really like complement each other. So like, sort of every move felt like it was hard hitting, but also felt like it was something that either woman could take. I could have actually had this match go a bit longer, if they had built up more of a feud behind this beforehand. But this was just great to like let them cook. I really enjoyed this. As much as I wanted to believe that Jamie Hayter was going to pick up a win here, I don't think now is her time. I think right now is Thekla's time. I think Thekla is doing a great job at the moment as women's champion, and I think Tony would be stupid to remove the belt from her. So I think this was the best outcome at the moment, even though I'm a huge Jamie Hayter fan, and have no doubt that she'll get her title back soon against, like, at some point.
Yeah, without doubt. Like we talk about, Jamie has beaten Tekla. And it's just lucky, I guess, Monty, no one can remember the Brawling Brutes when the Brawling Birds come out, you know. But again, this was a good matchup.
Yeah, no, it was good. I thought they really hit hard. AEW, like you said, the only women's match on here, and but we can't get them to go 20 minutes. But it is what it is. I think this style of match that Tekla was going for is like really at home in a place like Stardom, where they're gonna give you 25 minutes to just kind of build up anticipation and hit hard, because this was a slower paced match. You could tell her and Jamie really wanted to beat the hell out of each other, and then like you said, but I do think it didn't really ramp up the way I'm kind of used to. But I think a lot of that had to do with, maybe because that style of match usually has another 10 minutes attached on to it. But, again, this was not bad at all. A great defense for Tekla. I thought she would look really, really good here. She kind of proved that she can take a licking and just keep on being who she is. But at the same time, the finish. I did kind of like Hater. 'Cause I always wondered why other baby faces don't come and try to snitch on the heel. So I did like when to try to do it, but again, we know how this goes. But it was what it was. It was fine. I think it could have been better, and I don't think it's any fault to the ladies. I think we kind of know how we feel about both at this point, and Tekla's probably been the biggest highlight of the women's division consistently. Obviously for me, because I'm toxic also. But I just think she's so damn cool, and this was another really good match for her. And I think Hayter was a great challenger, and we'll see what else this goes. Because you're right, I think they kind of left it to where it's like, oh, they can do more. So hopefully, that leads us to another match, maybe even with a stipulation.
Yeah, without a doubt. Gina, anything to add? And what's your score out of 5?
Not really much to add. I am also one of the ones who's disappointed that it didn't go a bit longer. But I very much enjoyed the match, and I very much am enjoying Thekla and Jamie Hayter. So all in all, I think it was a good match for it being the only women's one on the match card, the main card. Sorry. My score, I'll give it a 4.
Give it a 4. Jaxie?
4.25.
4 and a quarter. And Monty?
Yeah, I'll give it a 4.
Give it a 4. Yeah, I'm going to give it a 4 and a quarter. Um, Predictions, we all went Texas, so we finally got a point after losing the last couple. Monty's on 6, the rest are on 5. After 6 months on the shelf, Will Ospreay finally had a chance to fight John Moxley to get a measure of revenge, whilst also challenging for the Continental Championship. The rules of any Continental title belt made it so neither man could have any allies at ringside. As soon as the referee started the match, Ospreay sprinted at Mox and hit a hidden blade. He didn't even try to make a cover and knew he had plenty of time to do what he wanted. He lined up and hit a second hidden blade that sent Moxley out of the ring, and then there was a long stretch, but everything the champion tried to do, Ospreay had a counter ready for him. The crowd chanted, "This is awesome," as he built towards the big finale. Ospreay went for the Tiger Driver, but his injured neck and arm prevented him from hitting it. Moxley turned the tables and delivered a power driver on top of the steel stairs. The challenger gave it his all, but Moxley was simply too much for him to take on so soon after returning. He retained his title with the Bulldog choke. Who is it? Monty, what were your thoughts on this?
This is right up my alley, man. This is kind of like what I expected it to be, especially the Moxley, kind of overwhelming Osprey. I was glad. I was worried, to be honest, because Osprey did just come back, and I was like, well, maybe they want to build up Osprey, especially heading towards London, maybe. But this is a better, for at least for storytelling purposes, because I do believe, based on the neck injury and everything they've been trying to show us for Will, he's been, like you mentioned, kind of been going at this thing very, very wrong when it came to coming at the Death Rider, because he's been trying to do it, at that pace that that he just felt like he could just run through it. But I loved it. And I also like, because we talked about how confusing this feud would be going into it, Moxley in his new ideation of just kind of like, even though he was really just the biggest bad guy you could be, now he seemed to be on the good side, and but Osprey still look at him like that guy who hurt him. But Moxley beat him clean, and it was pretty clean for me. And I think that's pretty cool. Even like with the power driver and all the other stuff, I don't think Moxley took it. I think that shows you how extreme we seen Moxley go. That I don't think he was as brutal as he probably could have been to Osprey in this match, and he just kind of overwhelmed Osprey, because Osprey is, like you said, not ready for that caliber of opponent with this, just this soon from his injury. So I thought the story of it really had me really into this match, and I really like this overall, and even the result. As much as I wouldn't have minded Osprey coming back and getting a win, I think Moxley winning it this way is a better for, and at least for the Angles point of view, for where Osprey may be going long term. But again, I thought it was a very solid match. It wasn't maybe a classic or anything, but I do think it was really good.
Yeah. Yeah, without a doubt, I completely agree with you there. And again, Gina, we've got to credit Mox a little bit for making the Continental title mean something, because we've got so many championships, but at least with Mox, I'm like, oh, I know what the Continental title is.
Yeah, for sure. The Continental title feels quite prestigious, just as big as, well, maybe not as big as the, world titles, but still, it still feels prestigious up there. And I think that is a big part of Mox being the champ and what he's done with it. But again, this match was just awesome. It was just still awesome to sit through and just watch this. Like Monty said, this is my type of match. And there was a scene where like Mox had hit Osprey and he hit a hidden blade before passing out himself, and it was just the coolest thing ever. It was, if you're going to watch a match, watch this match.
Yeah. I mean, I had a theory that the story is Will can't win without Callum Newman or someone by his side, but tonight it was about he came back too soon to beat Moxie and Jax. Again, it's not arrogance from Will Ospreay, but as we talk about, Moxie's, one or two in AEW, so Will to come back. And plus, Ospreay got the victory on Dynamite, which made me think, yeah, no, not happening at the pay per view. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, I think, this is one of those things where Osprey, had a little bit of sort of like what you would call sort of like the TV moment of thinking the good guy gets to come back from the injury and prevail. I think he felt like that was kind of how this story was going to play out. And I think a lot of people do not want to actually be listening to what Mox is saying, and Mox is the one producing results right now, you know? So as much as people want to hate on him, it's also like, if you're gonna listen to him, then maybe you might learn a thing or two. So who knows? We'll see what's to come from Osprey's loss here. There could be some interesting things that he may discover about himself. But this match really what just left me very much intrigued for more between the two of them. I think they worked so well together. As my sister said, there were just some like specific moments where Will Ospreay was just pulling out the hidden blade from nowhere, and it was just for me an instant classic from that point of view. So I was just enjoying every aspect of this match, and I think ended up watching it twice because of like just the certain parts. Like I felt like I blinked and or looked away for 1 second and missed something because these two just neither one really wanted to like give up. So it was just an incredible bout between the two of them, and I could actually just watch these two fight in an ongoing war, and I don't think I would get bored with the caliber of like effort either man puts into their matches. Um, yeah, overall, I think this was one of my favorite matches of the night, if not the favorite match.
Yeah, I enjoyed the position of this and the card in general, actually, apart from maybe a couple of tweaks. I bet Renee thinks Will is a cunt, but just can't say it. And Danielson was great on commentary as well. So out of 5, then, Monty, what would you give it?
I give it 4 3/4.
4 3/4. Gina?
Same, 4 3/4.
Jax?
Same.
I gave this a 5. Predictions, we all went Mox. So Monty's on 7, the rest are on 6. Orange Cassidy and Roderick Strong had a special entrance with a sitcom set on the stage. Their third mystery partner was revealed to be the returning Carl O'Reilly. They challenged Gabe Kid, Clark Connors, and David Finney for the Trios Championships. Clark humped the sofa. Gabe pissed on it. Yeah, you can't teach them all, can you? Finley and Carl O'Reilly started for their teams. The crowd was singing to O'Reilly as he wrestled his opponent down and put him in a headlock. Just days after we saw Mystico Jet Speed drop the titles to the Dogs, we got another title change with Carl O'Reilly Strong and Orange Cassidy scoring a win, become the new champions. I mean, it's a high energy match from bell to bell. The crowd was surprised and excited to see another title change so soon. So I suppose that worked. But again, Gina, it's so fucking difficult to keep track of champions if you're going to keep doing this, you know?
Yeah, I truly don't know if this was actually planned or they had to call the audible because of the injury for Gabe Kidd. Um, because I don't understand why they would have taken the trios belts off of Jet Speed if you were just going to have them lose the belts here at Dynasty. You know, why bring the Dogs in to make them look like they're all mouth and no action when they're just taking L after L, and it seems to be injuries that cause these L's, you know. It's just unfortunate. I really do feel gutted because I actually like the War Dogs, and I was excited to see what they were going to bring, but they've not had a good start. They've not had a good start to their AEW run. And I just hope that this doesn't hurt them for when they do come back fully back from injuries and stuff, you know, as a collective. But still, I'm not gonna lie, I'm just a bit over Orange Cassidy a little bit. And so the gimmick with him and Roderick Strong and Kyle O'Reilly, and it wasn't my favorite, but congratulations to them, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like I said, Gabe injured his shoulder. It's affecting New Japan plans. He was meant to face Ryota Tsuji for the global title, and that's no longer happening. And the match here basically fell apart because of it, you know. But Jackson, what I felt was quite weird was nearly everyone on this card had either been out ages or with injuries for absence, you know. So I went through the card and I was like, Jack Perry, Chris Jericho, Darby and
Ah,
Andrade,
yeah.
Cope, Fletcher, obviously his
Mm,
vacant title, Jamie Hayter,
yeah.
Will Ospreay, Carl O'Reilly,
Hmm.
Kenny Omega in the fucking
Gay,
main event. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
It's just
gay kid, like, uh, at this point, you want to say, "Oh my gosh, is it the company? Are they doing something?" But it's completely all just sort of like on the wrestlers, like and the way that they're delivering things. It's just a bit messy. It's a bit chaotic, you know. But again, I can't help but this. Just like my sister expressed disappointment in sort of like how the current run for the War Dogs have gone because they really have not had a great start to their AEW sort of debut as it is. So yeah, I really hope that things look up for them at some point. Probably whether or not that will probably be when Gabe Kidd returns, I can imagine. But it's a bit of a shame because I feel like they came into this and I'm pretty sure their first ever match they lost. You know, like they just kind of look already like a horrible faction that already needs to split up, you know. And I don't want to say that about them, but at the moment, what they're delivering is that they're all talk and yet they're messy and can never get the job done. That's what the faction is currently coming across as. So yeah, I don't know what they need to do to fix this, but like there needs to be some sort of like camaraderie between this group to actually get them back on the level that they were or are supposed to be in. So maybe that will come when Jade Kidd comes back and returns. But you know, it's just a shame. I like all three wrestlers. I think they've got incredible talent. I just think that it's not been utilized as well as it could have been.
yeah. Well, that's the thing. Monty, do you think Gabe's injury happened because Tanahashi cursed him? You know, because he's been speaking shit about him, isn't he? I'm in a curse mode now.
Tanahashi huh? I don't know, man. I wonder did this decision happen because of the injury, or was this like gonna always happen? Because I mean, it's kind of easy to think that because of O'Reilly returning, but I really wasn't into this match. This has definitely felt like the most filler here, and it kind of sucks for the trios belt that it seemed like they always seem to be in this situation. And also this match wasn't it was on barely it was like just literally 10 minutes. So it's like I wonder how much did the injury play a factor in like the decision making and like why the match just felt so disjointed in general. But I'm pretty sure it did. But as far as Gabe Kidd goes, and like it's some shit luck right there, man. And like you said, as far as the dog goes in general, I'm not saying they're doomed because whatever, but it is one of them things, them risks that you kind of take when you jump ship like that from a place where you are definitely going to be the priority because New Japan needs you, and then you go to a place like AEW where you're not necessarily the priority. So I don't know what this means for them. I'm not saying they won't have a good run but like you said, it is kind of weird. It's been a tough start for them, at least when you think about the way things feel and seem. But anyway, I don't have a problem necessarily with the title change, other than the fact that I probably that it's like to me, don't add a match on at the last minute and then that be something unpredictable. Like that's the thing that be annoying me about Tony. Is that like you said, it's like, oh damn, let me just throw this on the card right now, and then you know what? Screw it, let's just do something that nobody will expect. I know, I get it. Guess like whenever you got a mystery tag team partner, usually you win. So I shouldn't be that surprised, but still, I mean, the dogs literally just won, and it's like, what the hell are you doing, bro?
Yeah, literally 24-hour reign for the dogs, which is a shame. Gina, what would you give out of 5?
I mean, again, I'm just really gutted for the War Dogs, and I'm just not a big fan of Orange Cassidy in that, so I'm just giving it a 3.
Give it a 3, Jax.
Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of this, so 3 from me too.
Monty.
I gave it 3 1/4.
No, I gave it 2.5. Man, I was really fucking tired or pissed off at this point. Predictions, we all went dogs. So Monty's on 7, the rest are on 6. The main event of the evening was a match for the AEW Men's World Championship between MJF and Kenny Omega. AEW had been hyping this up as the devil versus the god of pro wrestling. They took some time before locking up. Neither men seemed to be in a rush, so they made a clean break and circled each other a bit before locking up again. MJF took some time out to procrastinate at ringside and taunt the crowd. Kenny offered him a handshake, but MJF pie-faced him and raked his eyes instead. The cleaner responded with a hurricane runner that sent the champion out of the ring. Later on, the referee was knocked out when MJF pulled him into Omega's path, allowing him to hit a low blow and retrieve his diamond ring from Bryce Rinsberg. Omega hit him with a one-winged angel, but a new ref showed up too late for him to get the pin. MJF was able to steal the win to retain his title with his trademark Heat Seeker after he put Omega through a table with a tombstone pile driver. He then sat on a throne to celebrate as the true devil of the wrestling business. Jaxie, what were your thoughts on this main event?
I mean, this was a great main event. This made Max look, good. Um, I don't know. I feel like I was left also just being very frustrated and or confused in the way that this has been booked. I certainly wasn't expecting MJF to win over Kenny. And at this point, I think that I was just incredibly disappointed because he's being the perfect heel and getting away with it. So I think that there was like a level of frustration from that point of view, which is really well done. But just damn MJF, that even kicking out of the one winged angel like actually hurt me.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I took that shit personally when he kicked out of that. To be honest, and I was in utter shock that he kicked out of it. So fair play. This was a good match between the two of them, but I don't want this to be the final match between them because I now need to see Kenny get sort of like a win over MJF in this regard. I didn't see him picking up the win here, so this was a complete utter shock in the way that things ended.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, they should have had Kenny coming from the heavens, but maybe Shawn Michaels messaged him and said it wasn't allowed, I don't know.
Yeah.
Monty, can you explain pro wrestling fans to me? Because MJF hit a crossroads, and it was funny because it was booed, but then he hit a Styles Clash and that was cheered. How does that make sense? AJ's probably more anti AEW than Cody because he's never been there.
and refuses to even acknowledge him. Like when they ask him about it online now, because people AEW fans say, "Oh, he took bribe money. The Hall of Fame was a bribe," and AJ is like, "Well, I got the job I wanted, so if they bribe me, so be it." So like he obviously is way more opposed to AEW than Cody ever has been. But again, they got their heart broke, man. Cody wasn't ever supposed to leave them. And like the diehard weirdos are just weird like that. So that's all. But it is what it is. Like you said, I thought that it was cool. I think this has a case. I'm not saying it is because Max has a really good. If you really look at it, like his match quality, Max has a pretty good rep. I know we don't like to get that snobby bastard any credit, but he has a really good match, especially in AEW. Like just like his profile of quality title matches in particular is actually pretty good. So this is added to that list. I thought this was one of his best, if not his best wrestled match. And of course, Kenny was incredible. Played the underdog role perfectly to the point where I definitely thought that he had it won. Of course, with the one ring angel, but again, I do love the fact that now Max can brag and say he the only guy to kick out of it, even though we know it was a crock of shit, and and the referee wasn't there. But it is what it is. That's perfect for Max. He doesn't need much to brag, so it really fits his character. And yeah, I took a chance when I picked Kenny mostly off of emotion. This is one of the situations where it's kind of like the CM Punk pick for me, where I was like, hey man, I really want him to become world champion this year based off everything he'd been through. So it would have been a nice moment to me. And because of something, I don't know if we'll talk about it, but because of something that happened after this, I was kind of annoyed that he didn't win it. But hey, it is what it is. This match is great, and this is the second time now. Another reason why I went for Kenny is the second time I know Kenny's kind of lost a high-profile big match to Max. So I do agree with you. I think Jax that yeah, at some point we're going to get a third match, and hopefully Kenny will prevail because he's put Max over big twice now. So we'll see. But I think this is not over for Kenny though. Kenny will get to the top of the mountain. I guess the timing is just not right now. I do not believe Kenny will not become world champion again. So it is what it is. But I think this is a really good showcase for Max, and how could you doubt him? He looked great on that throne, and it was a great moment for him.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing. I mean, Gina, this is the question, isn't it? How many big matches has Kenny Omega got left? And also, will Tony Khan learn that after like 3.5 hours to then put on the main event for 45 minutes is maybe a bit too long? And I don't want to complain about it because how good the main event was, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's definitely not a bad thing because the match itself was really great. If it was 45 minutes of a shit match, that would be even worse. But it was 45 minutes of a great match. But maybe this is, the reasons why like Kenny is coming up to having his last few big matches in his whole career because you're holding 45-minute matches like this where he's getting beaten like that. But still, it's a great match and it's worth watching for sure. But yeah, it's a long match card. So to give us that long of a main event, don't get me wrong, it was entertaining, but maybe, yeah, next time rethink it.
And
Please.
and again, something that I didn't think until I was watching this match. I have never seen someone using their leg to pin someone. I've honestly never seen it, and that could have made Kenny champion in this.
I
And
mean,
who knows?
that would have been a cool pin for him to win on.
Yeah, but I've never seen it. I've never just put your leg over them. They would
Yeah,
count it, wouldn't they? Like that's legal. It's not,
I mean, it's a limb covering
Yeah.
him, right?
Mm. To be fair, I wouldn't mind wrestling Andrade and him putting a limb covering me. No, leave it, leave it. Right, we're talking about the main event here. Yeah.
James, you need the thirst spray.
Oh God, I need it. Put me down. Put me down. Anyway, scores for
He's
the main
cheating
event.
on Drew right now.
Yeah,
That's what's really
look,
going
Drew,
on.
he's not listening to it was not an AEW show. Shit, I talked about WWE. I love you, Drew. All right, I would never ever. That's just lies from Monty. All right. Anyway, scores for the main event. Jackson, what would you give it?
I'll give this a 4.25.
4.25. Monty,
4.5.
Gina.
4.5.
4.5. I'm going to give it 4.5 as well. Predictions: Monty went Kenny, the rest went MGF. So the final scores means, and I don't know if Monty did this for the 600 show, But it means Monty, James, Jax, and Gina all on
We
7.
all win.
We all win, everybody! Yeah!
Oh wow, I think like that must be a first.
This rarely fucking happens. This rarely happens.
Yeah.
How good are we, eh? We're all 1 on 7 on a 12-match card. Hmm? Everybody have a look at yourselves.
Blame whatever
Anyway,
Tony was on, though, to be fair, though. Whatever Tony was on is why that happened.
The WNR Prediction League then, 2026. AEW, it means I get a point. So does Jack C. So me and Jax are on 1. It doesn't matter as much because I had to wait till October last year to get an AEW point. So I'm fucking over the moon. Monty, Gina are on 2. Overall, I mean, I don't know. Someone said this felt like a long dynamite, and Jax, when someone said that, I was like, I can't really get that in my head now because it was a good show. But again, is there anything we don't see weekly? And I think that might be AEW's trouble, if you know what I mean.
I mean, yeah, I think there's a thing of sometimes like having too good of matches that actually end up on Dynamite. So then when you actually get to like sort of events such as like a pay-per-view event such as this, then it goes to people feeling like, oh, shouldn't this be like a Dynamite match? Because we're getting these great matches on Dynamite. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that's what I think. Like, I think we're just spoiled at the moment. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
again,
we are spoiled.
yeah, we've had Osprey and Pac, we've had Swerve and Omega on Dynamite. As like I said, as we're talking heading into Dynasty, what
Mm.
I did find funny, it was like Vince's booking with the amount of hometown heroes who lost in their own country. Like honestly, Tony was like, "Fuck Canada" in this one. Right, so, so to overall, Monty, I'll start with you. Match of the night. I'm trying to have a look through what your match would be. I think it is Mox versus Will. What's your MVP and what's your score out of 10?
Yeah, my MVP for this is probably my favorite AEW wrestler, not named Hangman, is John Moxley. That's just I'm biased, John. At this point, I'm arguing with all my Shield fans out there that he's better than Roman and Self. We can talk about that a whole nother argument, a whole nother day. But at this point, his career to me, I'm that biased towards Moxley at this point.
We'll
I'm
have
not
a mass
saying
debate at some point between us, all right?
right. That
Yeah.
yeah, okay, we could do it, and I have no problem with it. But like his resume in AEW, really, maybe I'm just over the moon with AEW right now, and he represents a big reason why. But again, he's my MVP, and I just love that match with Osprey. I thought it was great, and overall, I don't necessarily disagree with the thing. I'm not necessarily saying that they have too many good matches because you never have too many of it. But I do think we good shows for them kind of can get like it doesn't really hold the same weight. Like I think WWE can get enough credit. Will get if WWE put on an average Dynamite type of show for a pay per view, we would be glowing about that.
Yeah, fair
like
enough.
like oh my goodness, did you see how good that show was? That Backlash or whatever. If it was like the quality of a Dynamite or the quality of some of these pay-per-views that we used to for AEW. So I do think this is like a 7.5. I don't think it was bad. I think it was a lot of good matches here. And but I just think for AEW standard, it just ended up being one of those filler pay-per-views that ended up being a good show, but just like you said, nothing really major. Felt like a placeholder as far as other than like some moments for Kevin Knight and stuff like that.
Yeah, without a doubt. So, Gina, your match was Will versus Mox. Who's your MVP and your score as well?
Do you know what? Looking at the match card, I do feel like Mox is gonna get my MVP as well. Overall on the match card, again, it was all great matches, so I did enjoy it, but I, it also felt a little overwhelmingly long. So, I think I'll give it a 7 3/4.
Perfect. And Jaxie?
I think I'm gonna give MVP to both Mox and MJF as much as I don't want to, but I'm just like completely shocked that he was able to kick out of the One Winged Angel, and that to me is a complete shock. So I'm gonna have to give it to MJF as well. Obviously, match of the night I think is Mox and Will for me as
Yeah.
well. Overall, I'm gonna give this an 8.25. And I think that's just because again the caliber of the matches and just uh, call me a bit silly, but like just kind of like when I'm looking at it right now, comparing to what we got delivered on WrestleMania over 2 nights, like I can't help but feel like this is what WWE should be doing with their matches. There was like hardly any ads. The matches were a decent length of time and actually gave time to their wrestlers. It just overall, I think like this is like the type of content that they could be producing. You know, overall, I just think that like Tony really just showcased all of the talent well for what we got on the card. So
You make an excellent point, actually, because I didn't even think about that. Because, and I'll never say that often. Yeah,
mm.
WrestleMania, WrestleMania night 1 and night 2. I'm pretty sure were 4 hours long. So again,
Mm,
if you take the 0 hour off here, you're basically for an extra
mm,
15 minutes getting this kind of action. So yeah, I think that sometimes
exactly.
we forget about it. My match is obviously going to be Mox and Will. My MVP is going to be Ricochet and, of course, Andrade's penis. And then score out of 10, I'm going to give it an 8.5. I wasn't going to, but let's just cover Dynamite quickly, shall we? April 15th, MJF arrived to the arena, was immediately approached by Renee Paquette. He bragged about his recent accomplishments, including beating Kenny Omega. Don Callis congratulated him and apologizing for the Andrade thing, but MJF didn't know who he was or didn't even know El Idolo had lost to Darby on Dynasty. Renee said that he needs to go kick off the show and face Darby Allin with the AEW title on the line. Allen took the mic and said if he's not ready now, he never will be ready. Talk about sacrificing his blood for the company. And he started just 10 miles away at the Buddy Wayne Academy. Brian Danielson stood up at the announce table and said Tony Khan sent a message that MJF will have to wrestle in the main event. I got flashbacks of the anonymous GM at that point. Tommaso Ciampa beat Desmond Xavier. I mean, how mad is that? That is an AEW match, you know. Will and Kenny had a heart to heart, and I've got to say, Monty, this was really well done because again, we've talked about Kenny Omega and him not knowing how many big matches left, and Ospreay, like I said, the similarities between the two have to be mentioned, you know.
I think that's what made it so cool is that you knew both of their stories and how they both seem to be a couple. Kenny way less when it comes to injuries and like how much of a role there, but even Osprey feel like 1 or 2 major injuries away, or or not even that long. Maybe 3 years from now, both of these guys could be a done with wrestling completely, whether it's through injury or just like their bodies having enough. So it really did. With sitting watching them sit there and be real life emotional about like falling short and just how banged up they were, and him having to kind of talk Kenny into it. I love that, and I love I love that pep talk because it just felt like even for me as a Kenny fan and watching him lose, I was like, you know what? That's cool to see that we're gonna long term this. And if he finally, whenever we finally do get and Kenny can cross that mountain, it's gonna be so cathartic for not even me as just a big Kenny fan, but just like for Kenny himself and just for everything he's been through because his life was almost cut short legitimately. So it conjured up real emotions. And like I said, AEW gets a lot of slack for just being wrestling, just being athletic, just being for the sickos and being crazy stuff like that. But that was beautiful storytelling, just letting them sit there and be raw and emotional with each other. If you didn't feel anything from that, I don't know what you're watching. So I think AEW does deserve to get credit, for
Yeah.
storytelling like that too, you know?
And it really was. It quite emotional. Kenny said maybe there's still a chance. FTR gloated. We got the first of 3 title matches, which saw Claudio Castagnoli challenge Kevin Knight. It's a solid back and forth, and Knight got the win to retain his title. And he gave a promo to his home state crowd of Washington and gave props to Claudio for a good fight. Oh, so we're in Washington. It's fine now. We're back in America, but God, fucking you in Canada, you're going to lose. Gina, were you surprised Claudio was used in this way? Because again, we talk about how successful Mox is, but the rest of the Death Riders are feeding off scraps at the moment, and I was like, oh, Knight over Claudio. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't mad at it. I think Claudio is so good, and he makes anyone he wrestles with look so good. I was, yeah, I wasn't mad at it, to be fair, but I do feel like that, yeah, Mox does seem to be the one who's taking all the wins, and the rest of them are there to take the L's.
Yeah, Claudio and back. Like, can we have an opportunity? He's like, shut up. It's not about you, is it? It's about me. The Demand beat up Jericho. Will Ospreay beat Cesaro. Mark Davis attacked him from behind and hit a pole driver. Tekla appeared in the crowd with Mike and bragged about beating Jamie Hayter until Alex Windsor came out and fought an attack from Judy Hart and Sky Blue. Up next was Camille challenging Willow Nightingale for the TBS Championship. The Babe with the Power squeaked out the ring to retain her title. I mean, Jaxie again, it's not really much of a surprise. I mean, we talk about Camille's return, and it's like, yeah, I don't think she's going to beat Willow. Or maybe she could have done, but second of 3 title matches.
Yeah, I'm not sure what they were looking to achieve here. This is a little bit where I start to question Tony and his motives for some of the things he does and whether or not he hits go whilst, like immediately after just like hitting one off or something. And he's like, yeah, let's hit go now. And then immediately thinks, shit, we should have started with this. So I don't know. Uh, this is a bit of a weird one because it's not like I don't want any other woman to get a push right now, but I think that the way that they're going about it feels a bit messy.
Yeah.
Or is that
No,
just me?
no, I completely agree with you. It's all over the place at this
Okay.
moment. It's like
Yeah.
even where's like Thunder Rosa and those types? Do you know what I mean? We're not
Exactly.
building
Well,
the pace.
G and I were having like this discussion earlier, and I know that some people might want to like go up and have a big argument against this, but where's the likes of like Nyla Rose and things like that? Like I could imagine Nyla Rose probably having a really good one-on-one against Megan Bain, or just even the likes of Camille, or any other person. Like you've got Sheeta, who is currently in the tag division, but she's also kind of gone heel. You've got like loads of original AEW content women, like including Thunder Rosa, that you're just kind of not utilizing when they're right there. So I don't know what they're doing. Stop
No,
sleeping on these women.
it's really weird. Sting showed up backstage to give Darby Allin a pep talk before he made his way to the ring for his main event world title match against MJF. Now, Monty, come on, man. Sting shows up. At this point, he's like, fuck, he's going to win a title. He's going to win a
title. Oh, yeah, he was doomed. I knew it. I was like, oh, my goodness. I know. I was like, wow. I was just, yeah. It was official at this point.
Nah, I knew he was winning the title at the very beginning of AEW, and he came out crying like a little child. And I was like,
but
"Why are
his
you
dad
already
was there,
crying?"
though, to be fair. His dad
but
was there.
No,
right,
that
and you can break
solidified
his
it. That
heart. Like, you can
solidified
still.
it. But
Right,
like,
I agree.
ain't no way I'm crying like that unless I'm actually getting the opportunity to win. And I've already just been told backstage, so I am shitting a brick right now and doing this promo because I know I'm getting it. So
No,
yeah,
that's fair.
maybe I'm
That's
not
fair.
really ready.
But you still can break his heart. That's what I'm saying. But it was like you still can be like, oh, he got that emotional and he still fell short or he gets screwed.
You could have.
But
You could have.
but when you see Sting, it's like, oh yeah, they not. it's done. Max is losing.
Well, MJF handed Aubrey his diamond ring so she would have to turn her back to get rid of it so he could hit a low blow. But Darby got to pay back a moment later with one of his own. The risk taker then hit 4 coffin drops in a row, one from each corner, before using a side headlock takeover to get the win. And your new AEW champion is Darby Allin. Of course, MJF mocked and defeated Darby with a headlock takeover both at Full Gear 2021 and Double or Nothing 2022. And in 2026, Darby finally got his revenge by taking away the biggest prize in pro wrestling with a headlock takeover in his hometown. Gina, long-term storytelling. But what are your thoughts of Darby Allin as a new AEW World Champion?
I'm happy for him. I'm also annoyed for Kenny, because I don't know. In some ways, you're like, did Darby benefit from the match that Kenny had put MJF through? Did he take a benefit from that because of he was still hurt, I guess, or something from Kenny's match. But either way, I'm happy for Darby. I know he's been itching to have that belt. And like my sister said, he was fucking crying out there. So you can't sit there and have him cry on TV and then not get the belt. Otherwise, he'll just be seen as a big, massive joke. So, yeah, it is what it is. I'm looking forward to see what Darby does as the champion, and just see how MJF reacts to this as well, because we all know he's gonna throw all his toys out of the pram. So I am intrigued on where AEW storylines are going from here. So at least you could say that's a good sign in a way.
Well, it is. It is, without a doubt. And we'll do the second part of Spring Break on our Double or Nothing podcast. And I finally got an email from Triller, we talked about earlier. I did switch. And they said, we're writing to let you know that AEW Plus is being discontinued. AEW and Ring of Honor pay-per-views are also no longer available to purchase on Triller. If you have an active AEW Plus subscription, it will end on your next billing date. You have full access to the pay-per-views you have previously purchased. But that is it. And with that, an end of an era of how I watch wrestling. I mean, it's crazy. I started a network. I'm just killing the fucking streamers right now. So Triller's down. And that is basically it. Jaxie, just get your thoughts, because we've talked about a lot on the show. But I'll just get you to wrap up AEW, because obviously we've had Dynasty. That was kind of overshadowed by WrestleMania. But Double or Nothing coming up is kind of one of their tentpole events, so to speak.
Yeah, again, I think that any company has like its ups and downs, what works for you, personally and things like that. But I think if we're just kind of talking neutrally overall as like, a wrestling company, I think right now they've got a lot of talent. They're utilizing well. There's certain things that could be done better, just like there probably could be things done in other companies that other people would prefer. Um, but I think overall, we're used to the length of time given to an AEW pay per view match. That this works well. I think that there were a majority of matches on this pay per view that really did sort of put more of a spotlight on its younger wrestlers that actually could do with this push, and it was done very well. I'm not going to go ahead and say that like it was the perfect show, but I think that AEW right now are on their way to being able to build and solidify upon young wrestlers' careers right now that are and influencing them in a way where I find other companies right now aren't doing as great in terms of like keeping that connection and that flow going. So, I want to praise what AEW are doing at the moment. It could be better, especially when it comes to the women's division right now. There needs to be a lot more progression and just a lot more tidiness when it comes to how much time they get given on not only just pay-per-views, but just sort of the normal roster and on the normal sort of weekly shows compared to like what the male roster do get. So hopefully we'll see these small improvements continue to be built upon. But so far it's been very entertaining and just enjoyable content to watch.
Yeah, without a doubt. So that is it. Episode 600 is in the books. Don't forget, we're across all social media. X at the WNR Podcast. I'm at the WNR Pod James. You can find the entire WNR team on the banner. Jaxie, where can people find and follow you?
You can find me on both X and Twitch at Jaxie Scarlett.
And Monty?
At my Monty Pod on the Twitter.
And finally, Gina?
You can find me on X and Twitch at Purple Pain.
It's WNR also on Facebook and Instagram. Send us an email to WNRpodcast at gmail.com. And YouTube, the WNR Podcast. We are celebrating 11 years of the WNR with shorts, my rise, clips, and anything else that we can find. And the podcast is live on YouTube and also on SoundCloud on your phone. Also Spotify and iTunes, where you can download, subscribe, rate, and review there. So that is it. Our next episode, Monty, we are going to NXT and doing Stand and Deliver. We are going to wrap up finally this whole kind of WrestleMania weekend, whatever it was before, anything like that, and finally get up to date. And then we're going to have Backlash and, of course, Double or Nothing. So we are just continuing here on the WNR. Until then, I've been James Rowlands and I was joined by the fantastic Jaxie Scarlett. Thanks for joining me, Jaxie, on the 600th show.
It's been fun, and I'm looking forward to the next one. And happy anniversary to the WNR.
Oh, thank you very much. And, of course, the mind of Monty. Monty, I mean, just thanks for sticking with us after I did those songs, you know?
At this point, I have no choice.
And, of course, the genius of Gina. What would I do without you, Gina? I just don't know.
Yeah, don't know who you would direct your songs at. I have no idea. But thank you for having me, and thank you for a great 600 episode anniversary show.
Yes, indeed. And that's it. We are just, I don't want to say we're just getting started because I'm not sure, but who knows, you know? But that is it. Like I said, 600 is done, the 11th anniversary, and we continue. Thanks for everybody for listening and liking and following and anything else